He's the adult.
You messed up now.
Jeez.
Well, you gave me a platform.
Did I tell you had a hard time trying to undo the compressed air tank? That you
They were on tight. They were on really tight.
Struggling. So I had to get Barbie to do it.
I have this little tiny wrench like this big that I'm supposed to uncrank the compressor, or not the tanks. Like, come on, give me something to leverage that I can actually work.
So I called Barbie to help him out.
Yeah.
She got it.
Yeah.
Because he warmed it up for me.
Yeah, exactly.
It's okay. You loosened it up, bro. It's good.
Yeah. So, all right, guys, thank you for joining us here on Tac City Unfiltered Episode 6.
Great start.
I am your host, producer Derek. I'm joined by Sonny and guest ASM Caber or James from Airsoft Ministry.
Wow.
I mean,
wow.
He's a vet.
It gets hot.
He's a cornerman for Cal MMA. And he's also an online offender of the airsoft masses.
Offender. Is that your tagline?
No, I gave it.
It should be.
Now, yeah.
That's pretty good.
I thought it'd be clever.
It's like
Casual
offender.
it's like cheeky offender.
Yeah.
G-rated
Online
offense.
offender. Dun-dun-dun.
Not using a single profane word.
That's true. You don't cuss.
I don't.
You can cuss.
All of it. Oh, it's gonna fucking happen right here.
There you go. We're good.
I was gonna say that's hard. I don't think I can
I'm
do
not
that.
wearing we're good. This
is
isn't
called
live to
Unfiltered.
anything. Yeah, we're good.
Yeah.
Again,
Go ahead. Yeah.
doesn't have to be airsoft.
Yeah, we're not. So
We're
I mean,
everything and
I have
anything.
all kinds of questions for you
bring
here,
it.
but
So.
before
I have
we get
nothing to do. This could theoretically this could be your longest one. What are we gonna do?
yeah, well, I mean,
You've been on the
possibly.
road for how many hours?
All of them? I
All of
left
them.
Roseville
2
about
weeks ago.
9. Yeah, right. About 9 this morning.
Our water boy came in.
Thanks, man.
Thanks, Frank.
Thank you.
All right, okay.
Where you going?
So,
Where you going? You're not
You know
going
we're
anywhere.
filming, right?
yeah, that's on camera now. There you go.
I know.
He's got a girlfriend, you know.
Before
Sorry to
we
hear
get
it,
into
Richard.
the
But he doesn't have a
show, I
boyfriend
do want to explain to anybody if this is their first time
Whoa.
watching, this is your warning. If it's not, you guys already know the spill, but we're probably going to offend you. We don't care.
We'll try.
We're going to try, yes. We are most likely going to have different opinions than you, and that's A-okay. We're
Suck it
not
up,
trying to
Buttercup.
necessarily please you with our opinions or anything in that way. And if this
don't
is
even
a
like
show
your opinion,
that,
Derek.
Well, you're still here, so you have to put up with
The
it.
script.
Not kind of, a little bit,
Kinda.
yeah. And I mean,
like that,
so
huh?
You know that laptop's not even on.
yeah. For you snowflakes out there watching, you have been warned. So.
Oh, my leash is off.
Yeah, I was waiting for this one. This is going to be a very interesting.
Might go up to PG-13.
Up to PG-13.
We're already gonna get demonetized on YouTube for this one.
Are we monetized already?
We are monetized.
Cool.
Yeah,
Really?
we got
Where's my
monetized. Yeah,
$1.50?
yeah. Once we put up our last video up on there of our Navy SEALs. If you guys haven't watched it, go
yeah,
check
that
that
was
out.
a good one.
But we got it monetized like 2 days after that went up because it took a process for it. But we were already monetized, so everything else now.
East Coast SEALs come. Remember Act of Valor, the movie?
Yeah.
The guy that died at the end?
Yeah.
He was here.
Really?
Yeah, Rourke Denver.
Did you get a book?
Author.
You're a
He
big
gave
deal.
me.
Oh, did he give you the grenade?
He gave me. Check this out.
Oh, nice.
Check it out. What is
It's a
it?
real grenade. Don't pull the pin.
He gave me that. But take a look at it. You'll probably figure it out.
It was a dummy grenade.
It's a bottle opener. How cool is that? Rourke Denver.
The ultimate problem.
Is that cool?
It's so heavy.
Yeah.
No. At first I thought it was real.
Break the bottle.
When I
this the
put
one
it
you
up on
landed
there, I
on
was
in
like,
the
this
movie?
is huge. Yeah. So
I don't have my real keys. My pickup truck keys has a little bottle opener carabiner
Just
on
in
there.
case?
Yeah, I have
just in
problems.
case. Yeah.
When you're driving and you open that bottle.
I mean,
Yeah.
like that
I
sometimes.
mean, well, we're not advocating drinking and driving, guys. Come on. Let's
just saying it happened.
I mean,
Water.
first offense. There was our first offended. We just offended someone there.
We should have like a scoreboard.
So we should, right?
Ding.
Just
do
ting.
you get more or less money through monetization with that?
We just tried it. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, honestly,
we'll find out.
My experience with monetization on YouTube,
content,
it's
so you're
kind of
good.
limited. Unless we're hitting millions of views, we're not really seeing much like return on
Yeah.
it.
We got like enough for like half a
what a-
value meal.
Yeah,
somewhere.
be downer, man.
we might buy a microphone cable here and
Oh,
there
beer,
with
yeah,
it,
there you go.
something like that.
You
Yeah,
ever- You ever listen to the
pizza.
Bisming bot podcast?
Oh yeah.
Or
Oh yeah.
he does that the shame bell.
Yeah.
We should have something like that, like shame, ding,
love
ding,
that
ding,
one.
shame.
Or there's you watch Bodega Boys.
I've heard, and I haven't done that
Oh,
yet.
they have a soundboard and they just sort of do it themselves. It's so.
Oh, that's what we
I
need.
love
Sound
that.
effects.
we don't need sound
Oh,
effects.
that'd be
Oh my
awesome.
I think it's like some kind of tablet, and they just
Just
hit it with like pre-recorded
Derek,
sounds.
get on
Con-
that. will you?
connect the tablet. Okay, let me get the tablet. We'll connect it.
Find that on
Derek,
Amazon.
pull that up for me.
Find that on Prime. I mean,
But-
Rogan has Jamie. I have
You have Derek.
Derek.
Yeah.
Gee, that didn't sound good.
Was that a compliment? Maybe.
Hell yeah.
I'm gonna take it as a
Oh,
compliment.
hell
I'm gonna take
yeah.
it as a compliment. I'm going to take it as a compliment.
Hell yeah.
You could only hope that you were Jamie.
I do want to give the people who might not be familiar with you, James, like a little bit of background about
Why?
Because you're here on the show. We got to give something to the
Why
fans
not?
out there. I know you airsoft at a church.
Oh,
you
yeah.
are a vet. You've got a little bit
A
of
lot of
everything
problems.
behind you there. But just a little bit of background. Like how did you all come to be?
The airsoft world?
And just in general.
How do you came to be? Well,
Yeah.
we're
As
talking
is your
about your parents.
birds
now?
and
We're
the
going above
bees.
PG-13 here. See what had happened.
Where'd you grow up at? Like high school? Were
there
you
you
a
go.
bully? Were you a nerd?
Yeah, there you go.
You be both?
Going deep.
Well, I know you've been called a field bully recently. Yeah.
That would be the worst, to be bullied by somebody that was a nerd.
Yeah.
That would be like the worst.
Yeah.
Field bully. You're gonna get that tattooed, maybe in Old English, like
Shame,
wham,
shame,
right there.
shame.
So it's either gonna be across the abs that are in progress, or like maybe right up here.
Neck
yeah.
tattoo, kind
Yeah.
of like just under the neck.
No,
yeah.
the
I might just hashtag it across my neck.
What do they call that?
So,
like a little necklace
you're-
kind of
yeah,
thing, and then
yeah.
a little arc here, right? Like gang
Like a big, yeah.
prison tat.
What are you gonna do? Stop me? I do what I want.
Yeah. So, how did it all start? Like, were high school? Like, how was that? Like, were you fans of anything?
All right, where'd you come
like,
from?
Why'd you get into the
What's-
military? Whatever you want to.
You're not a Cali boy, right?
Oh yeah.
Are you?
Yeah.
Oh, through and through.
Northern Cal?
100%. Oh yeah. Born and raised in
I
Sac.
mean, that's like a different state altogether.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, depending on your definition of Northern California, there's NorCal, which generally is understood it stops around like
San Jose-
Roseville, Placer
Okay.
County. Then above that is just like South Oregon.
Okay, all right.
It's, I don't know, just how it goes.
and
See,
then-
I was born and raised up in Sac.
Okay.
Sac all the way through and through. I grew up in East Sacramento. My parents moved us out to, it's called Antelope, which is like northern Sacramento. It's in between like North Highlands and Roseville. I think we moved out there around 94. Been in the same house ever since. I did high school in Roseville. We didn't have a high school in that area because it was still developing. So I went to Roseville, called Wood Creek High School, which is maybe 5 minutes from the field. Graduated that around 03. Barely listen to me. Barely. When I say the bottom 10% of my class, that's not an exaggeration. Like, I'll get the transcript. Barely
trust
graduated.
you.
So
Yeah,
your
I
mom
mean-
is not Lori Laughlin.
My mom's brilliant. My
Paid
dad has
way
a
off
master's in computer science. My mom was a special care pediatric
What
nurse.
happened to
and I
you?
just hated school.
Wow.
Both parents, both geniuses.
But
You're
going back
fantastic
now,
art.
and you are
Yeah.
studying right now.
I go to
'cause I
school,
see some of
yeah.
your posts. Okay.
I mean,
You drive by it, or do you actually go in?
I go in it because it's so nice. It's pretty. They have a fountain. Like, there's
have a
people there that
fountain.
don't know anything about guns. It's great. It's just, I go up in
Definitely a way to
Rockland.
sell a school. They have a
I
fountain.
go to Sierra Community College. It's just rich white people, just
Yeah.
as far as the eye can see. And I know that sounds terrible, but when you've lived in Stockton for
Stockton. Diaz brothers.
3 to 4 years, and then you're like, I'm the trashiest one easily in a 15-minute stone's throw on Google. Oh, yes. Okay, we can do this.
Yeah.
Like, all of you have cars like that were made recently. Okay. All right. Yeah. All right.
So what'd you drive down here?
A rental, actually.
Oh, okay.
Because my 99 Tacoma's like this close from the
dying?
belt just exploding.
Oh.
You made the trip last time in the Tacoma, though, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
okay,
that was
yeah.
before. So that was about I think that would have been around 200,000 miles, and now we're pushing 3.
Oh wow, jeez.
Yeah, I
That's
did
a short time that you put another 100,000 miles on that vehicle.
all over the place. Yeah.
So
First car.
Chevy S10 Extreme.
Extreme.
so the
Extreme.
lowered one.
The lowered one with the body kit.
Yeah.
One single additional so 96 horsepower as opposed to the standard 95. 5-speed.
That's extreme.
I thought it was the coolest because Need for Speed had
Wow.
Need for Speed Underground for PlayStation had come out, and that was still like when all the Need for Speed like movies and Fast and Furious
kinda
movies
just
were a
dated
cool
yourself
thing.
a little bit there,
So,
yeah.
so this So the truck itself was an '02, so this would have been an '04.
Okay.
I thought it was just the coolest thing I'd ever owned, and I didn't know how to drive a stick. A buddy of mine.
Join like 90% of the population.
Yeah,
now,
right. Buddy of mine gave me like a half a day's course on it, on a tank road somewhere on a tank trail in his WRX.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I didn't learn much, but it was fun. So then I bought this S10 Extreme and almost. So the citation was for exhibition of speed. That was what the ticket said. What had happened was I hadn't quite understood the concept of how to drive. So I ended up peeling the wheels out and was like, oh, that's cool. Let's go with it. And KPD was right behind me.
Oh, jeez.
You tripped the tires? Or you...
Was I 19 yet? No. No, I was not. I was 18 promotable to 19.
Did he get impounded?
No.
No, just
Little.
a bid ticket.
Couldn't
Yeah.
catch him.
Yeah, couldn't catch him with that.
Oh, yeah,
96
they could.
horsepower.
It was It was on.
Couldn't figure out how to get out of second gear.
Was it Rancier? No. Was it Rancier Avenue? It might have been either Rancier or Tank Destroyer. I can't remember.
There's a street called Tank Destroyer?
Yeah, in
Whoa.
Killeen, Texas, right outside Fort Hood.
Well, it's Texas. There you
Okay,
go.
okay.
There you go.
Horrible
Explains
city.
everything.
Killeen would be a nice. So if you've noticed, any city with usually a base with a combat contingency of soldiers, so like anywhere where there's infantry troops or like anything, the city surrounding that base usually turns to hell. And
Oceanside.
inside of a decade, give or take.
You ever been to Oceanside?
I have.
Camp
Oh,
Pendleton?
San
I
Diego
don't
doesn't
think
count.
Oceanside's that
Well,
bad.
Oceanside's not San Diego, I don't think.
Yeah.
True. That area doesn't count
There's
because
strip
that
clubs
area
there.
is beautiful.
Yeah, yeah.
The Vista
okay.
area.
Yeah. Yeah.
The natural area is beautiful, but everything that's...
Oh, everything around it decays.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're a plague. 100%.
I stayed... I played a paintball tournament on the base. This is maybe 96,
Oh,
whatever.
on Camp P?
Yep.
Yeah.
And we rented a hotel right near the right on the other side of the freeway there. And I shit you not, this is 95. It was like circa 19, like shag carpet.
Oh, yeah.
And like the thermostat was like a big round
Yep.
dome.
'Cause they
And
don't
they had
have
like
to
these
change
oil
anything.
paintings of God knows what. And it looked like I was like in a pirate ship or something.
Yeah.
It was like, oh my God, this is so... I had to take pictures. It was like,
Because they know that no one will care.
all it is...
They
Marines-
just want to get off the
Marines
barracks.
show
for
up
the
there
day.
to shag some stripper and go back on the base.
That's factually accurate.
I'm just
So,
saying.
talking about base and everything.
Sorry about that, Oceanside.
No,
O-side.
I'm not.
well, offense number 2, I think, and probably 3, 4, 5. We've already offended probably
We're
plenty.
only
on this.
offending the people that don't understand the
and we're
references.
really only about 5
Half
minutes
of my
into the
buddies
show
right
here.
now are like, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's
They
me.
get it.
That's me.
So, with the military side of things, was it right out of high school? Was
Oh,
that
yeah.
your decision?
Actually, it was technically when I was still in high school.
Okay.
I enlisted. I was in they call it the delayed entry program. I was a DEP when I was 17,
Okay.
which requires both parents to go. Yeah, you need this. Bye.
Thank God.
So that would have been like late in my junior year of high school.
Okay.
So I was already spoken for. I had no ambition for none. No ambition of college.
And so this would be 2003, 2000.
yeah. So I would have enlisted about late 02, early 03,
Okay.
right about in there. Yeah.
Okay. So this is post 9/11 situation.
Oh yeah.
And so
I knew ever since I was a kid, I knew I was gonna end up joining. Dad did.
Okay.
It. Huge. A dad retired in '96, so he retired out of the reserves. Before that, he was like 10th group, Cold War thing, and all that cool stuff. He retired out of a little base in kind of in the Stockton area called French Camp called Sharp Army Depot. Years later, that's where I worked.
okay.
Because that fell under the purview of the Defense Logistics Agency, which was who I was a police officer under, and I ended up working. That was my first beat, basically, was that base, and I knew I didn't need a tour. I've been coming here since I was a kid. Do you want a tour?
Yeah.
So I knew like the locations. I knew where the shopette was. I knew all that stuff because I grew up there.
And then deployed out to where?
Oh, the worst. Nowhere fun.
Nowhere fun.
You were not in the sandbox?
When was the last time anyone was like, hey, we're going here? Yes! like, hey, we're deploying. I got to make rent, so I just bought a new car, so it looks like I got to deploy.
Yeah.
Or the other way around. Like, hey, I just deployed, so I'm going to buy a new car.
And how long were you in it?
Too long. So my first deployment was the tail end of the 4th Infantry Division's first deployment. So that would have been early 04. And that was the tail end, so that was only a handful of months. And that was with, the first unit I was with was, so everyone can fact check this one. 4th Platoon, Bravo Troop, 1st Squadron, 10th U.S. Cavalry, under the 4th Infantry Division. And this was back when, for anyone that's 4ID, this was back when 4ID was at Fort Hood. Now they all pushed up to Carson around, would have been when I got out, so around 2007, 2008. So that was the first deployment I'd ever been on. And it scared the piss out of me. As it's supposed to. Blod. It was... We were housed, thankfully, we were housed inside of LSA Anaconda, which was like a big, I think there was the big hospital was there at the time. There was a lot of, it was like a big hub, sort of. So thankfully I got blessed with that. But we're still out pushing missions and yelling at people and, yeah, seeing the worst of humanity. The second time I went, fun statistic. Every time I have left the country, I was in a relationship. And then within 6 months of returning to country, I wasn't in a relationship anymore. That was a fun statistic for me. So
I don't know if that's a nationwide need to know statistic.
So he never leaves the country ever.
Deployments you can code them with like the girls I was dating at the time. So I was dating Keisha in that first one.
Operation Keisha.
Yeah. The second deployment, I was married for the second deployment. I got married in June of 05, and I was about to turn 20. Because my birthday's in July, so I got married, and then like 6 months later, I was like, "Have fun with that baby thing. I'm going to another country, deuces," which is
20.
Probably not the best marital advice.
Yeah.
Like, Dr. Phil would have had a big problem with that, and of course that marriage failed abruptly. Ashley was Ashley 8. Ashley, I think my ex-wife was 17 when we got married in Texas.
Jeez.
And then I was 19, like, weeks away from turning 20. Was it 18 going 19?
Wait. So, like, you were married twice under the age of 21? Oh,
what?
That's okay.
The first relationship wasn't full marriage.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I did get engaged, but then I cheated on her and then broke it off. And then started dating that girl. And then I started talking to my ex-wife. So, obviously, I broke it off with that girl and then started dating my ex-wife.
Well, I didn't know this was turning into a therapy session, but
There's a lot of darkness you don't see in that Instagram sometimes.
Well, you don't get married.
well, that's the one thing you curate Instagram. That's the
it's
best
the
part
best.
about Instagram is you can
Messed
curate. But one of the things that I do appreciate about what you do put up on your Instagram is the vet and the mental health stuff that you deal with and go through.
Yeah.
And so there's a river that you like to go to.
Oh, yeah.
And so after your VA visits,
Yeah.
basically, yeah. And so that's one thing I know. I was asking you earlier, like, you're a strong advocate for.
Which is funny because when you told me, I was like, advocate? No, I'm not. I'm just out of my mind. And I'm just honest about it. Like, yeah, so that's like advocacy. I'm like, shut up, bro. No, it's not.
I mean, in a way,
spell that.
You're.
I can't.
But you are being vocal online on a taboo subject for people, and so
Yeah.
to actually see somebody being open and willing to share that kind of stuff is that puts you as an advocate in my book for it. And so the crazy part is how.
Advocate. You're not a fucking doctor. Don't
Yeah,
relax.
yeah. Hold. Let me pull this back a little bit here.
Dr.
So,
Phil. Oh, is he a doctor? Really? I don't know.
I
I've
don't
played
know.
a doctor in bedrooms across
I don't pay that
America.
much
Is
attention
that
to
different?
him. So.
That's different. That's not certified at all.
Soap opera doctor.
But I want to know, like, how did you come to the understanding of that you need to be in control of that? Because
shit.
that's a tough situation. And a lot of people out there don't have that control. And if you could be some advice for them,
we're going to the dark place.
Yeah, we're unfiltered, man. We're talking
I went
real.
for years. So let's like post active duty army. So I started in active duty army. I got out in 07. So let's. It is June 2007. I've been in country for, let's see, is it 7? Yeah. I got back from my second deployment in November of 06. My ex-wife had told me she wanted a divorce in October of 06. Somewhere around in there. So like before we even kicked out, like I was like, oh, that's it then. Oh, I don't know how to handle this. So I moved back, marriage is over, completely left everything. I was living out in Texas. After I got out, I had moved in and I was living with my ex-wife's grandparents, who were the sweetest people I'd ever met. Decided, like, I have nothing. What am I going to do? I have literally no idea what I'm doing. I was on my last check from the Army. Zero skills that I was aware of. Zero real skills where I could make any sort of relevant income. I had no idea how to make things. Like, all I had done was like grunt labor and try not to get killed.
Did you ever think about re-upping or?
Oh yeah, I thought about it a lot and went no.
Okay.
I thought about it all the time.
Some guys do because they're in the same boat, right?
Yeah.
That's how they get you out of that desperation.
Yeah.
That's how I'd thought about it, but my marriage was falling apart. Like before that, I got out of the Army to fix my marriage, or at least figure out what my marriage was, because we'd only been dating for, let's round up and say 9 months.
Wow, that's rounding up.
My daughter my daughter was born when I was on mid-tour leave, so I saw her for the first 2 weeks of her life, and this was in the end of May, and then after that, I was back in Iraq so I missed the first 6 months of her life. And even when I came back to Colleen, Ashley still had her life down where she was, so she was living south of Houston. So I used to drive about 5-6 hours every weekend to go see her.
Yeah.
And we'd get out 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 o'clock at night, just from
Straight down.
in my S10 Extreme.
Yeah.
96 horsepower, was it?
Yeah. Yeah.
A lot of horsepower.
Made a difference.
Yeah. That was when Full Throttle had come out, and when they were 50 cents a piece, they were $1, but they would buy one get one free in the shopette. So I'd get like 4 of those things and just boom,
Full throttle.
Anyway, so I moved back out here. I had nothing, so I didn't know what to do. I didn't know anyone. The only people I knew was like, at the time, my wife, my daughter, and her family. So I essentially had no, support network. I had no idea what I wanted to do for work. Marriage was over. There's no point in being. Now, the hardest decision I had to make was, do I stay in Texas and try and create a relationship with my daughter, who I still who has no clue who the hell I am, and most likely be miserable. Try and eke out some kind of living doing probably some job that I would just despise and have no idea how to do, because it's all so they have a lot of the chemical plants down there because it's by the Gulf area, so it's all journeyman work, electricians, pipe fitting,
Tradesman.
all tradesmen. I didn't know how to fucking do any of that.
I don't think most people who get into it really know how to. They just get into it, kind of thing. Like,
Apprentice or
yeah,
somebody
and so,
take me under your wing kind of guy.
I have no idea how to do that. I have that's not who I am. Like,
Yeah.
that's not what I've done with
What did you
my
do
life.
in the
I was
Army?
a tanker.
Okay, that's right. I was going to say, I'm
is
trying
that
to think how
transferable?
that would apply. You'd have to really lie on the resume.
Yeah. What are your skills? I can run 2 miles drunk in under 15 and a half minutes.
And I
What do you
own
mean that's not a marketable skill?
a Chevy Extreme. Did
Yeah.
I mention that?
What are your other skills? I can shoot better drunk than most people can sober.
yeah.
There you go.
So I think the first job I applied for was like dishwashing. just like anything I could.
Sure.
Yeah,
Something.
You need to survive.
I
right?
applied
Yeah.
it as a dishwasher at a like some local burger chain. Like I didn't care
Just
anything.
something, right? Because everybody needs
Something.
you need a mission, right?
Yeah.
We
That's
need-
the other thing.
we need to survive.
Nothing.
And
Whatever.
so,
it is, I need a direction to at least
Something.
go on to. Yeah.
So, eventually, after a few months, me and Ashley were like, "This thing ain't happening." So I move. I tell my parents. I remember I'm at the time. So let me just preface this with: I still love Ashley. Ashley's my best friend.
Mm-hmm.
She sold my truck when I was in Iraq for a Jeep Liberty,
Okay.
which
Upgrade.
made sense.
Yeah.
You can't put a baby. What am I gonna put her in the cab? Yeah. Anyway.
Center seat.
So.
Oh, wait, no, it's a stick shift, so there was no center seat,
No,
right?
not
yeah,
at all.
Two-seater.
Put
yeah.
a seat in the bed like a Subaru.
So my dad got me a Galant, an 03 Galant,
This is a sedan,
all
right?
black. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
all
yeah.
black, nice grain leather interior, which is great when you're in the Gulf of Texas.
Is that Mitsubishi?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, yeah, okay,
Vinyl
yeah,
seats?
yeah.
gorgeous. Oh yeah,
Stick to him in the seat.
baller status.
Yeah,
Love that.
120 degrees in
love
summer.
sweaty
While you're
Yeah.
sitting in the seat. Yeah.
So I had that. And I remember I'm driving my car through the back roads. I think I was doing like a buck. I had no idea what the hell I was. Just driving for the sake of driving on my little Motorola phone. Like the
Motorola.
little, yeah.
Say no more.
And I had
Motorola.
called my parents. I was like, I gotta come home. Told them, they knew what was going on. I
Yeah.
told them like, it's done.
Yeah.
So the divorce goes through. My dad comes down. My dad's the fucking best. And we load all my crap into a U-Haul. Put the car on a
car dolly
car
kind of thing.
dolly,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
guess,
yeah.
on a trailer.
Car trailer, yeah.
Drove all the way back to California. Still showed up, no plan. But and that was probably one of the hardest things I had done. So throughout this, and I got a job as like a security guard, started going through the school and all this. Hated it. Hated my existence. Hated my presence on this earth. From about June-ish for years, several years, throughout the time I was an armed guard, throughout the time I was the president of my veterans club at school, throughout the time I became a police officer, every day, just bashing myself, almost giving myself like daily affirmations of how much I fucked up in life. So, just hating myself, like, you're a failure as a soldier, as a person, as a father, as a husband, like any way you could describe yourself, I was telling myself I had failed at that. And at the time, it also didn't help that I was still losing friends. So I think one of the guys was still listed in MIA at the time. Ahmed was still missing, and I remember doing his paperwork to help him go on leave to go to Egypt, and he had a family, local family in Iraq. He was a reservist, went out to visit his family. He got picked up by local insurgencies, and so he was MIA. So we were dealing with that. One of my absolute mentors, just the most John Wayneist son of a bitch I'd ever met in my life, Gary Derby, Colonel Derby. He had like this huge scar across, like, remember Hang 'em High?
Yeah.
Remember that scar, Clint? He had one of those from shrapnel that had hit him in the
When
throat.
you hang a man, make sure he's dead.
Yeah, and because of that, his voice was all raspy. Like,
Oh, wow.
this guy is a fictional character. His truck got hit, and it killed the whole crew. And, what really sucked is I remember we were in Iraq. He was looking at the battalion command that he had after that. He was asking us, like, hey, I'm picking up a command. Do you guys want to come with me? I was like, nah, I'm out. I got to fix my marriage and all this. Yeah. And he got hit. That whole truck got whacked. So, and that was I remember reading the Army Times, and his picture was on the front cover of the Army Times. And in my mind, I'm like, oh, no. Yeah. So in my mind, I'm like, please get promoted. Please something. And I opened it up, and I think he was like the 9th Light Colonel to get whacked in Iraq. And I just lost it. Just, there's the hardest I had cried since Ashley told me she wanted a divorce. And just all of this just shit piling up.
Yep.
For years and years and years, and just hating myself and having no mission. for years.
Direction, mission.
Nothing. I didn't have shit.
Something
I
to
had a
shoot
way to
for.
make. I had a great job. Great job. I started going to American River College, so my dad's dream was for his war vet son to come home and go to college and like go off and do like the whole storybook thing. Hated it. Fucking was drunk every day for my first semester.
Yeah.
I got a job working as an armed guard. We started there at $25 an hour.
That's good.
It was a specialty it was a federal subcontract. So like you had to have a background to get one of these. It was through Securitas too, and it was just so nice. It was a cush job. I started at like 25 an hour, making great money, which you'd think like, hey, all these resources open up great. Nah, I didn't fucking care. I spent it on booze, and dates. That's what I was. Drinking and women. That's how we supplemented our pain. That's how we quelled the demons. We just kept pouring boobs and booze on it. We thought that would work. I mean, it worked short term.
Yeah, for a small bit, it
It
helps.
was horrible.
Yeah.
And I hated school. Just because I didn't know what to. I was like, okay, we're gonna go to school.
Yeah.
But even then, you didn't have a direction with the schooling. Like if you knew you were going to school for a specific end game, purpose, like
It would have been easy.
engineering or whatever the hell, right? But just going there just to be there, probably not good enough.
Yeah.
And even if I would have had a purpose, because I know guys that have plenty of purpose. Just I went from less than a year in country, so that would have been even with stop loss. I think I was active for 8 years, 3 months, and some change, with some stop loss, and then trying to go back into like contemporary American society in a community college. Was a fucking
How much time? How
horrible.
much time there between that and that?
So I had moved back in June, and then I had registered for the fall semester.
So
like
less than 3 months.
a handful of months.
Yeah.
With all this just baggage, I'm just
Yeah.
like,
'Cause-
oh, we're gonna deal with this later. Shove into a closet.
Because every vet, there's a certain time period where they have to adjust. Like,
Oh, it takes years.
Well, I mean, there's some guys you hear might take as a few weeks, a month. It depends on their experience.
Depends on the
It
experience,
could be
yeah.
years. It could be. There's no formula to
No.
that.
And for a kid who went from high school to seeing guys blown up,
Yeah.
like you don't.
It's traumatic.
I understand, like, yeah, 18 to enlist. I think it should at least be in your 20s.
Yeah.
Because
kids.
you have no identity. Or, like, when you're even up into your early 20s, you don't know who the fuck you are.
Still a kid.
And
Still
then you get
discovering
all
shit.
this
Well,
stuff
I mean,
thrown in your face.
They
It's
say your
horrible.
brain hasn't. Literally, your brain has not fully developed till you're 25.
in your 20s.
right.
So I haven't figured anything out,
No
and I'm
life
just
experience yet.
stacking. Like, and we're gonna deal with this later. We're gonna deal with this later. We're gonna deal with this later. Let's focus on this. This is a terrible idea. So I'd get off. I used to work nights, so I'd get off work in Vacaville, and I'd drive 40 minutes back because it was about a 40-minute one-way commute, which wasn't that bad. There's a little like a gas station liquor store right outside of ARC. I don't know if it's still there. I'd go in there. I'd get a Coke and like a small bottle of Jack, and I just start pounding I'd go to the parking lot, just get hammered,
Was that your routine?
That was breakfast. That was breakfast. Every morning I'd have a huge Jack and Coke. I'd pound it.
Trying to dull the pain.
I wouldn't even mix it. Just, I didn't care. I was a wild son of a bitch in my 20s, man. And I would just get hammered, and I would just ride that buzz all day, just all day. I had like a math class, which was easy. And I'd started making friends here or there. Like I had a poli-sci class with a couple of vets in there, and I actually ended up kind of working with one of them. So I had a couple of vets that helped me out. I got clicked in with a vet club, which was cool.
Yeah.
That might have kept me from killing myself. Was that vet club?
See, that was the kind of question I was thinking the whole time because so many vets take that road, right?
Oh yeah.
Like,
100%. I thought about killing myself.
Yeah.
Every day for years. Yeah. Every day for years I thought about killing myself. Only once. I remember I can't remember what sparked it. When I was living, this was about a year? Maybe my first 2 years of being a cop, I had this real nice apartment in Sacramento. It was in between Cal Expo and Arden. I think it was the Fountains. Gorgeous apartment. Sac State girls just living on. Oh, fuck, bro. It was so nice. And it was just such a beautiful environment to be in.
Yeah.
Everyone was super nice. Didn't care. Hated my life.
Yeah.
And I remember I'm just sitting there, drunk, half drunk. Might have been drinking. Probably was drinking. Just staring at my gun. Just like, bro, if you want to fucking go, we can go right now.
Yeah.
And so I was, mind you, at the time, I'm feeding myself constant negative information.
Sure.
Just constant, like, you're a piece of shit, you're a monster, you're horrible, you're never
There's
amount to
nothing
anything.
or no one that's kind
It's going to change that.
of
I had no context.
Yeah.
I had no concept.
Yeah. No
I
support.
barely see my kid
Yeah.
because she lived in Texas with her mom. What do you
Is
get?
she still in Texas?
Oh yeah. I'm
Okay.
gonna take my daughter away from my.
Well, no, because I've seen some of the posts
yeah,
where
she comes
she
out.
comes and
Yeah,
sees you
for
and
sure.
everything. Yeah, so because I
But,
know the
like,
relationship's gotten much better
at
and
the
everything,
time-
But yeah,
I think I was only seeing her once a year, maybe.
yeah,
Because even
It's
then,
tough,
for about the
yeah.
first few months, like my ex-wife would call me and I'd just answer with, "What the fuck do you want? Why are you calling me?"
yeah,
Like just horrible.
Yeah.
And so all this shit just piled up. And I was like, you know what, dude? I'm tired of your shit. You put that gun to your fucking head and we're either gonna go or not.
yeah,
So I just I'm not gonna say which gun it is. I still have this gun. I will never sell this gun for
Yeah.
this reason.
Yeah, yeah.
So I chambered it, hollow points, everything. Bam! We just pushed that bitch against the temple. Like, hey, dude, we can go now. Like, you want to go? We can go. Or you can just shut the fuck up, be a man,
piss right off
and
the
we
pot.
can. Yeah, you can shut the fuck up, be a man, and go to work tomorrow, or you can just end it all now.
yeah,
You know what? I'm sitting there in the dark, hammered, with a pistol in my head, just finger on the
Contemplating.
trigger, the whole thing. Like,
yeah,
we're either gonna die or we're gonna go to work in the morning. What are we gonna do?
yeah.
And just,
And
know,
I'm going to work tomorrow.
no,
So,
Yeah,
put the gun down, went to bed.
yeah,
so was that the moment, or that
Yeah,
just
that was the big moment for me,
like a moment of clarity?
where I was like, all right, we decided not to, so we better find a fucking reason.
okay,
So then it just became a matter of, all right, we've established we would like to continue
Sure.
our existence on this earth.
yeah.
Okay, that's
That's the first step.
step one.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
want to
yeah.
die. Okay, most people are like, oh yeah, that seems simple.
It's not. No.
Not when you drag your own self
yeah,
through your
But
own
it's the
shit.
biggest first
But
step.
it's the biggest
Yeah.
step right now. Oh my
Yeah.
God. So I kept working. I liked my job. I mean, it was nice. It was easy. I was working
Good
night
pay,
security.
putting you in
The
a
pay
nice
was
apartment
nice.
and everything.
Oh, it was
You had to
so
start
great.
looking at that kind of
Yeah.
positive stuff.
I ended
kind
up
of thing.
dropping out of community college. I fucking it was a waste. It was just a waste of time. All I was doing was drinking.
Yeah.
So it was an easy job. And then a buddy of mine got hired at the base as a cop, and he started working part-time with us. He was like, hey man, I got this gig. It's at the base in Tracy. I work at the one in French Camp. It's an easy gig. It's straight up federal police. It's federal benefits. Your vet time counts. I'm working with nothing but guys that are just as fucked up as we are. It's great. It's a great
Yeah.
gig. So I applied, and at the time I was hard in trying to be a cop. I was going to school for criminal justice because at the time I didn't realize it was a stupid degree to get. And I was hard. I was hard in the paint for trying. I was like, that's what I want to do. I want to be a cop. That makes sense. I wore a uniform, carry a gun. Let's do it here.
Yeah.
So like, it's a federal thing. It's DOD. It's not really like the style I want to get into necessarily. You're still doing aspects of it, but I wanted to be like a deputy, like a county guy, or like a city county guy.
Street cop.
Yeah.
Specifically, I wanted to be a county sheriff's deputy. The dream job for me would have been Placer County Sheriff, because I just thought that would have been. I love that area. I'd love to work in that area, live in that area. I thought that'd have been dope. So like, all right, I'll give this job a shot.
Yeah.
It's better than working as a guard. It's not. That's the thing was, you're a guard. That's contract work, and that contract at the time I had applied, we were hearing whispers that that contract was going to move. It ended up moving to Utah, maybe 3 months after I got hired.
Oh wow.
That job went away, and only one guy followed it. He became the manager, but all the other guys we were working with,
They all just.
they had to figure it all. And everyone ended up taking care of each other. One guy got a big job with G4S. He brought a lot of guys in, but there was no guarantee of that at the time. So like, shit, I'll just go be a cop. Sounds like fun. I think I liked that job for
All of 2 minutes.
yeah. good couple weeks.
Dealing with people.
A good couple of weeks. Because I had been working, at the time, I had 2 jobs my whole life. I was in the Army, and then I was a guard.
Yeah.
So now I get a job with a union. I'm sorry, a union? Can you? I've heard about.
Aren't they the best?
What is this union which you speak of?
Brotherhood.
So I thought that was cool. They had a cafeteria. 2.
Hey, is it
one's not enough.
true that there's donuts all the time? It's never.
Oh, here we go.
nonstop?
Here we go. Don't get him going on donuts.
Kind of.
Kind of.
Oh, now you got his attention. He was dozing off until he mentioned donuts.
Actually, every time someone brought us donuts, we're like, how are you gonna complain that we're fat as fuck and you keep giving us junk food? Like, you can go fuck yourself.
Do the foot chase with all the donuts.
So now I'd been working security, and at this site you weren't allowed to leave. It was shut in.
Mm-hmm.
So if you wanted food, and this was before the ages of like DoorDash. And all,
Yeah.
If you didn't bring it,
You weren't
Shit,
getting
look.
it.
you weren't getting any.
Yeah.
And it was technically a non-disclosure agreement, so you couldn't call in a pizza and have it delivered.
Yeah.
No one was supposed to know it was there,
Now,
even though it's in the middle of Vacaville.
Yeah.
how far out once you got back from overseas? How far out is this now?
So this is around 2010.
So it's a few years.
Yeah. So this
Okay.
is a few years.
So
have
you're
passed.
starting to get acclimated. So
starting to figure out who at least I'm not.
right, well, this is it's another big step.
So around this time, I'd been teaching firearms for about a year or so. In about 2008, I joined the National Guard because I didn't have any friends. And everyone else thought I was an asshole. So I joined the National Guard for friends. That's the reason I joined the National. I needed friends. I needed other people that were just as miserable.
Aren't you afraid
as
of getting
me.
deployed?
No, I didn't give a fuck. I'd already been deployed. What the hell did I care?
I don't know. I mean,
What's the worst that's gonna happen? I get killed. Whatever. I get killed. My daughter gets
Friends.
taken care of for
Yeah.
life.
National Guard to get friends.
The worst that happens is I die. All right, whatever. I thought I was gonna die
Then
years
why didn't
ago.
you just re-up the beginning, right?
Active duty sucked.
All these stops in between.
I just wanted the social aspect of the Army.
Yeah.
I didn't want to
You
wake
didn't
up at
want
a
the
quarter to
Army.
4 every day and do literally nothing. I only want to do that once a month. Once a month, we're
Once a
fine.
month, okay.
You
Yeah.
show up, you get it out of your system. Everyone goes to the bar
Oh,
at the
by
end.
the way, we're getting deployed.
It's great. Fuck it, bring on another deployment. What do I care? It was like, hey, we're gonna actually we were supposed to go to Iraq. We had been, and I was, what do they call it? Not stop loss. No, it wasn't stop loss. They called it. I was basically frozen. So when you join the National Guard from a active duty component, you're in a non-deployable status for. Basically, it's intended to give you a break.
Okay.
I was in that status for about a year. I think I had like a year. Towards the end of that was starting to end around the time we were supposed to go to Iraq. At this time, I had already signed up to go to the Napa College Police Academy because I was working in Vacaville. I was just going to move there anyway. So I was going to work nights and then go to the police academy during the day. But my squad leader at the time was like, "Hey, you're going. You're on the list." I'm like, "Excuse me. The hell I am? No, look, the timeline doesn't match up." He's like, "Oh, okay, let me find out." Bitch, I have to make an $800 deposit in a week. Oh, let me get back to you. Son of a bitch. So I ended up not going to that police academy, which was, I guess, fortuitous in some ways, and I didn't have to deploy. So that was
Even
fun.
better.
Yeah. I didn't care. I know we're going to go to Iraq again. We're going to just get shot at more. I don't care. It's the worst that happens. You die. It's going to happen anyway. Why not? So I was like, oh, aren't you scared of dying? Well, yeah, I don't want to, but
I know
if I
because
do,
a lot of
my daughter gets free college,
because a lot of guys re-up. A lot of guys re-up because the prospects in the civilian world,
Oh
scare the hell
yeah,
out.
that.
So I'd rather
And this was
hang out with my
also-
friends and get shot at.
And this was also before post 9/11 GI Bill. So this was I initially fell under the Montgomery GI Bill, which the most you could make at the time was $1,200 a month, and that was basically about $100 per credit you were taking. So if you're going like 6 units, you got $600.
And the clock is ticking. Back then, the clock was ticking. Now it's like it doesn't expire, right?
So I was going to use it for the all kinds of stuff, and ended up not going to Iraq, which was okay, whatever, didn't really care. Stayed in the National Guard for years. Actually ended up liking it. Made friends. Did a great job.
Did you ever think about contracting overseas?
I'd thought about it. but if the big money is for the tier guys.
Right.
So like unless you were at the top of the
Wasn't
food
big enough
chain.
if you weren't.
So the best I got tons of offers. I got guys right now that are doing it. They're sitting in some damn embassy somewhere or on a fob somewhere just hanging out in 511s
flip-flops.
making 60 grand a year tax free. Like
Yeah.
60?
Doing nothing, or the possibility
60?
of something, right?
$60,000 to $80,000 a year to go back to it? No.
Not enough.
No. I can make that at the job I'm at right
Yeah,
now.
that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
Tax it, I don't care. Wasn't in it. So joined the Guard, had fun with that. So I did that for about 8 years, did very well in that, surprisingly. Because this does very well in the Army. Like, this is what survives the mental part of the Army.
Okay.
Like, you might lose your shit afterwards, but while you're wearing the uniform, like, oh, the guy's out of his mind. He'll be fine.
Yeah.
He's walking around on a fucking rifle range without pants on. Well, that's what he does. Ground guide.
How many times did you walk around on the range without pants?
Several.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, quite a few.
But the
Just
thing
gotta
is, he
clarify.
wasn't the only one doing that.
He wasn't
That's
the only
thing.
one, yeah.
He blends
Yeah,
in.
what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Kick me out? It's
in,
the National
in
Guard.
regular society, it's a problem. In the military,
I didn't
it's
care.
blended.
What are you going to do? Kick me out of the National Guard? Oh, no. I worked weekends at the time. I lost money in the National Guard.
Oh, man.
Like, what are you going to do? Kick me out so I could go back to my
To
$25
work?
an hour
Yeah,
job
yeah.
instead of making $200 a weekend because I was a specialist at the
Yeah.
time?
So fast. So this is when?
This is
when-
about 2010.
Okay.
So I've been a cop for a couple years. I started liking it at a cafeteria. I didn't know. I never had a job with that before.
What about the job?
You could start.
Cafeteria.
It
Think
used
about
to
the
be.
job.
I mean, come on. The cafeteria's important.
Fuck that job. That is not. I didn't care. Used to be. We had gym time because we had to take an annual PT test. So the union, God bless my union, negotiated if you want to give them a PT test that's mandatory for their job,
They
you
need
have
to
to give
work
them
out.
paid gym time. So you could start work, not even in uniform, in gym clothes. We'd start, and my FTO at the time, who was a genius man, which is also the reason why I'm very particular in language, he would go, no, we're going to go to the gym in the start of shift. And we'd go to the gym, we'd shower, we'd change, we'd get in uniform, we'd gun up, we'd go eat pancakes. I was the first 2 hours of that job. And an 8-hour shift at the time. We were working 5/8.
Sounds like Caltrans.
It was so nice. It was so nice. And they made a bunch of policy changes and it stopped being fun. New
Yeah.
chief came in and just
I don't think
cut the balls
I think
off
dealing
everything.
with people on a daily basis would. Just
I didn't
drive me
mind
nuts.
that.
That would drive me nuts.
Well, so let's get a little further forward in this and everything because now.
Oh yeah, now I'm
what-
just ranting. You're gonna want to rope
no,
me in.
no, it's totally fine. We understand you rant a lot, and that's what you
Kind of the
became-
reason I'm here,
Yeah,
for being
it's
honest.
kind of the reason you're here. Yeah, exactly.
Kind of the reason I'm gonna do right now.
But in reality, what came first, MMA or the airsoft?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
How the hell did you get an MMA?
Yeah,
I don't
'cause-
think I heard the story.
So here's the full. Let's go. About 2016.
Okay.
I'd got back from Cuba, my last deployment in the National Guard. I am Army free.
Okay.
My first year back in work, which this year will be very important for later stories. I was just bored. Like I've been working out and
Yeah.
lifting weights, doing the conventional gym thing. I was doing competitive Highland games.
Okay.
Oh my god.
You've been to the Vista
I've
Scottish
seen it.
Festival, right?
No, I've
That's
seen
what
it.
you were explaining
Where
with the
the-
name.
the
Yeah,
kills
that's
and
where that
everything.
came from.
That's how our conversation started. Was
So
I
SoCal.
butchered your name?
Oh, horribly.
Yeah.
So
does.
there's, the Queen Mary, the Queen Mary Scottish Festival they do every
I've heard of it.
February.
Yeah.
So they have, there's that. That's a big one. Costa Mesa, at the community college, which is, oh my god, that's got to be the greatest community college I've ever been to, and Vista, in San Diego. Those are the three big games that I went to in SoCal, and I used to drive down and compete with that. That was all like technique and strength. It was super fun. I was like, yeah, I kind of want something more. I kind of want to fight. Just get into something other than just something a little more, I guess, practical. I was bored.
Yeah.
I was just bored.
Yeah.
So I looked into like Kaju Kempo. I was like, okay, that'd be kind of fun. Kaju Kempo spot in Tracy. I looked at kickboxing and jiu-jitsu. Well, in Tracy, there's a Gracie spot, but it was like $200 a month. Oh, spoiler alert! Brand equity on the name Gracie is easily $200 a
I'm gonna
month.
say the brand
Before
names
we
you're paying for.
get down to which Gracie it is.
Yeah, the cousins, sisters,
Oh my
brother-in-laws, stepbrother.
Yeah. So, and a
Gracie.
buddy of mine, my buddy Nate, that I was working with, was a jiu-jitsu guy.
And his name is Diaz.
Duaneus, actually, close. Good friend of mine, Nate, was a purple belt in. He was a Marine out of Hawaii. Started doing wrestling and stuff. He moved back here when he got out of the Marines, and he started training at under Half Gracie at the Half Gracie spot in Sacramento. He's a very good friend of mine, and I was like, "Hey, dude, like, what's up with that?" It's like, "Oh, it's super fun. Go check this place out." I'm like, okay. So looked at some stuff online. Started kind of talking to him about the pricing. It was way different.
And that's usually, by the way, with martial arts, that's usually the red flag that
Oh yeah.
these guys probably know what they're not there for the trophies or for the cookie cutter.
Yeah, they just want to fuck shit.
You know, just cover our costs and we're gonna teach you real shit.
That's
right.
I mean, that's fairly accurate. Yeah. So I went into his spot. It was pretty cool. Really liked it, actually. Everyone was just the nicest people I'd ever met. Great, wonderful-hearted people.
But punching you in the face at the same time.
This was just jujitsu.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So choking my face.
Choking your face.
Yes.
Okay.
Squeezing
But
my face.
very nice
and
people.
then
Yeah.
transitioning to choking it. Yes.
Wake up.
Yeah.
So if I were to describe jujitsu, imagine being choked out while the guy choking you out is probably high and you're listening to reggae.
Yeah, because most jiu-jitsu guys, I mean, I don't know what the percentage is. A lot of guys practice while there's
Oh, they get high.
because they're super real. I mean, there's
I don't know why.
being relaxed. I guess in any martial art, but
guess.
especially jiu-jitsu, I would
I
say,
guess.
is a very good thing.
Interesting.
Yeah,
That's
I don't know why.
really
I don't get it.
interesting. Yeah.
Because like
Okay,
white
that's
belts and they're
fine.
beginners, they're holding really tight and they burn out really fast.
I guess it's a relaxation thing, or it's just because it's, I don't know. It's fucking
It
funny.
attracts potheads. I don't know.
The schedule hadn't really matched up with like my days off and stuff like that. It was kind of, it was in Natomas, so the drive was okay. And I was talking to him again. I was like, hey, like, how many other spots do you know of? Like, it's not bad. It doesn't fit up with my life right now. I said, oh, well, check out these guys we were in Roseville or Rockland at the time. Check out my buddy Manny and Julio. They run Aries up there. I'm like, okay, I'll go check that out. Love those guys. Just clicked instantly. Jokers, all of them, just funny dudes, super, very technical, and just great guys. Like, all right, here's what credit card do you want me to get? Like, just
Take my
throw
money.
my wallet, or
Oh,
what
man.
are we doing here?
Yeah.
And they also had like affiliate schools, so different. So like, there's an
wow.
Aries in Roseville, there's an Aries in Modesto, there's one in Livermore,
Wow, okay.
and even aside from those, there are affiliated schools
they
that just don't carry the name.
Aries, are they Brazilian?
Oh yeah.
Because I was gonna say, in the Brazilian community, they're so tribal. I mean, like almost like
Oh yeah.
gang-like.
That's a lot of.
Dojo to
not so
dojo.
much now,
Yeah.
but that's very old school. Oh, very.
Our jiu-jitsu is much better. and
Yeah.
How dare you?
I don't really see that now. At least not where I'm at, because everyone knows everyone.
Yeah.
Everyone's super friendly. Like you got guys competing against their best friends, and like they're having like shots before weigh-in kind of a thing.
cool. That's
Yeah. So I clicked in with them real well, and I was living in Stockton at the time, and they had an affiliate in Modesto. That's where the headquarters was. So I'd go like drop in with them for like their fundamentals and stuff, and then everyone is just. I've never had a bad experience with jiu-jitsu. Apparently, that's the
Nice.
luck. That's very blessed. But the Stockton affiliate, it's called the Buffalo Black Brotherhood, and I think I might have been the only white guy there. It was all like Hawaiians or Chamorro,
Hawaiians love to fight.
some form of like Polynesian Islander,
Mm-hmm.
some form of that. And I'd just show up, and it's all these short, stocky Hawaiian wrestlers. Like,
They
Okay.
It's been my experience that Polynesians, Hawaiians, they're like a fighting culture.
Oh, yeah.
And they will choke you and hurt you with a smile, but still love you and
Yeah.
drink
I
beers
love
with you
that
or-
crew
yeah.
to
I mean,
death.
Max Holloway's a prime example, right?
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's just-
Yeah. And I started training with them because they were literally down so I think it was maybe a 5-10 minute drive from the apartment
jeez.
Yeah. maybe
down the
easy.
street.
Yeah.
And just
You do your
such
morning
great
run
guy.
to get down
Yeah.
there to get
You know what's
yourself.
funny?
Yeah.
and they're so great.
I tell people jiu-jitsu is, and Rogan's used this term. He says it's high problem solving with dire
Yeah.
physical consequences.
It's
So there's so much,
great.
yeah.
And,
Some of these top level black belts can think they can just flow without even thinking about like you do this and I'll do this and I'll do this and this,
I was
this and
rolling
this.
with a guy. I'm still a white belt. I was rolling with a brown belt, and he had closed his eyes. And at first, I was like, should I take this as an insult?
He's
or
super
oh, you're
chill.
just getting in the zone. Okay, cool. I guess that's a compliment. I don't know. So I started training with that Stockton crew, and to this day, I love those. That's my family. Those guys are my fucking family. And I still drop, even though I'm back in Sacramento, I still go drop down in there. I try to go once a month.
Yeah.
So I wanted to also learn how to wrestle. Because I really kind of like, I want to learn how to take people down. Like that seems,
Take down, control. Yeah.
It's like, oh, a lot of guys cross-train wrestling. Oh, let me see if I can find that. So I was searching if you're
But
an
the
adult.
jiu-jitsu was before the wrestling, right?
Oh yeah.
So that's key because you could have a top level wrestler, and then if he, it's a ground art, of course, go and gets a top level jiu-jitsu guy, right? And almost inevitably every time the top level jiu-jitsu guy is going to choke the wrestler out because the wrestlers give up their backs.
It's also a different rule set.
Exactly. They give up their backs naturally because they give their head for guillotines and whatnot routinely because they're not used to that.
Feet. I find feet.
That's true. And so, but if you had like a basis with jiu-jitsu and then go to wrestling, you already know how to protect your neck, and now you're just adding the control aspect of
Unless
wrestling.
the guy has 100 pounds on you. It is a high level wrestling. Then nothing fucking matters. So I was looking for like a wrestling coach. The problem with if you're an adult and you want to learn how to wrestle, you're fucked, because it's for kids. Unless with like a lot of sports, like there's everything for kids wrestling because it's in the school systems and it's all the way up to the colleges. So unless you decide to go within wrestling, unless outside of college you could become some sort of Olympian or an Olympic hopeful.
There's nothing.
When's the last time you saw a wrestling gym?
Yeah.
There's karate, there's taekwondo, there's jiu-jitsu. There's no wrestling.
There's no.
Some jiu-jitsu places might have guys that know how to wrestle, and they'll add it as a specialty class.
Subclass.
But it's not in the same. It doesn't get the same level of attention as the other ones.
Have you heard of combat submission CSW? CSW.
Oh,
Eric Paulson. He's got a few of them out here.
Yeah.
So he used to train Josh
Barnett
and a few other guys.
That's where Corinne Jacobs.
Yeah, he does some crazy stuff. Like some of the guys that I work out with routinely bringing stuff back from there.
Yeah. It's fun.
He has some leg locks like you wouldn't believe. Just
it's so fun, dude. It's a different way to work out. So I found on Instagram, I was searching around and I found this guy, Jason Fonzie. And I was like, okay, does kind of like privates, and he has like a little wrestling club. Okay, cool. So I see that one of his followers is my Stockton guys, my Buffalo crew.
Okay. So
I went to my coach Kalani and said, hey bro, what do you know about this guy? So like, you guys follow him, he's in Stockton, like, do you know him? He's like, bro, he was the wrestling coach for both my kids, for both my sons.
So you trust him.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I would like to learn from this man.
Yeah.
So at the time, Jason was about 270, 280, looking to take his first fight. Now, his problem was he's a big dude. It's real hard. If you're big, it's real hard to find big training partners that don't suck. So basically the deal we made was I would be like his training partner, because even heavy, I'm only like, if I'm eating pizza for breakfast, I'm 205. Usually I'm like about 202, 203. So that's like where he was. Like, oh, you're above 200 by a couple pounds? Sold. You're good. So I would be his training partner, and he would teach me how to wrestle for free. And I would like show him what three things in jiu-jitsu. So the joke still is, I'm the greatest one-stripe white belt jiu-jitsu coach in all of California amateur MMA history.
That's a long title. That's I don't know if they can fit that on a
half
on your
stripes
shirt.
or white belt.
What's funny is
they're invisible. You can't actually see the stripes because it's
he's
white.
called me his jiu-jitsu coach in like legit like
Interviews
in
and
interviews.
Funny.
In MMA Pixels, he did it. I reposted it on a different Instagram. In MMA Pixels, he did it, and I think in NorCal MMA, he did it. He's like, oh yeah, James is my jiu-jitsu coach. He's like, oh, is he like a black belt? He's like, no, he's my jiu-jitsu coach though.
He's got two white stripes on a white
Jason,
belt.
you you can't say that because my people are gonna find out.
Yeah, and
you're gonna
jiu-jitsu.
fuck me up.
Well, as long as you're saying you're a black belt, you're fine.
Yeah, and I ended up telling my coaches like, hey, so I'm the greatest white belt
Yeah.
jiu-jitsu
Who's
coach.
gonna lie
And
about
they
a
were
white
like,
belt, right?
What? And I told them this story, and they're like, bro, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
I was like,
Nobody
okay.
has problems with that.
Okay, we're good.
Oh, yeah, we're good.
I'm not getting
No extra pain.
jumped in the
Yeah.
back
You start
alley
saying
and-
you're a
No
blue
extra-
belt. Like, whoa, wait
Yeah.
a minute.
Ridiculous. It was so funny. And so he's gearing up for his first fight, which was at heavyweight.
No kidding.
And, no, excuse
270,
me,
280?
super heavy.
I was gonna say
Amateurs
that's
are super heavy.
okay.
So it ended up being a heavy fight, but the guy couldn't make 260. Yeah,
I don't even know why people even fucking weigh them at that point. Who really cares?
To be fancy. So he had asked me, like, hey, I'm used to your voice. Like, you can be loud. Like,
Yeah.
will you corner me? Oh.
Show me
I
some
mean,
jiu-jitsu.
yeah. What does that mean?
What does that
I know.
mean, right?
What do
Like,
But I want you to wear your white belt to the
Yeah.
ring.
I was like, bro, I'll ride or die for you. You know I'll go to
I
hell.
can
in
add
a
anything to
headlight.
the table.
What does it mean to corner? So there are no videos
Sure.
really on how to corner. So
Yeah,
I just started like,
Yeah.
and his manager at the time was also cornering him. So I was like, bro, what do I do? He's like, oh, you just show up, pay the fee, and that's it. Like, no. What do I do? He's like, oh, don't worry about it. You're not.
Just what's
You'll
my
find-
purpose
just stand
there?
there.
I was watching the way I taught myself to corner, sort of. Other than at the time, I've already been a fairly large MMA fan. Like I was watching Pride fights DVDs when we were in Iraq, like the Rampage slam from the armbar.
Oh, yeah,
I
yeah.
had that
Famous.
DVD in Iraq. It was a Pride fight. So I was a pretty big fan. So I was like, all right, what do those guys do? At
Now
the
you're
highest
going back to
level.
DVDs and looking at the guys in the
Yeah.
corners.
Like, all right, I've been watching a huge.
Okay, that guy's
UFC
just standing there going
Yeah.
like this.
Like, all
Not
right,
saying a damn thing.
when they come in and sit down, what are they doing? Oh, they just give advice and put water and
Sponge.
ice on. Like, oh, yeah. Like, okay, I guess
Water.
I can do that. So I
Spit
started
bucket.
watching like amateur fights. Like I would just YouTube a fight, YouTube
so
any
funny.
amateur
That's
fight
so funny.
at work, like on my phone or whatever. I'm in a car somewhere,
Yeah.
and I'm watching MMA fights on my phone. And I would just go, I'm gonna corner that guy,
No.
and I would just yell. So now imagine a uniformed police officer and a marked police Suburban
Watch you.
yelling at his phone. Like,
And then
hands
so-
up,
and-
hands
and-
up.
and then somebody's
Watch
filming,
your energy.
And,
Settle
somebody,
the
and
position.
somebody's filming you.
Yeah. Like if you were to drive by, you'd be like,
What is going on?
that's like
Yeah.
how I sort of figured it out.
But you know what? With the cornering, I was gonna say if you watched enough videos and footage, if you could
you
find.
can wing it.
I was gonna say that's what I'm saying. If you really think about it, if there's like 4 guys in the corner, there's only basically 1, maybe 2 guys actually giving any
anything,
worth.
yeah.
The rest are standing around. So you got it.
So the fun part is in the
There's
pros,
not time for everybody to talk.
At least in California, in the pros you get 3 corners. Amateurs you get 2. You get 2 corners.
And it's so funny because they probably need more help than anybody else.
So I'm just watching fights and yelling at on my laptop and on work computers,
so funny.
on my phone, just yelling. It's like, all right, I mean, I guess I got this figured out. And he ended up beating the shit out of that guy. So like it mattered anyway. So
did a good job.
He weighed
Great
in
corner
at
guy.
2.
Yeah.
Quarter, he won.
Yeah, he won.
He weighed in at 260. His opponent weighed in. No, it's either he weighed in at 260 and the opponent weighed in at. He was either 240 and 260, or Jason was 260 and Brian was 280. I can't remember. I think Brian was 260 and Jason
And
was
let me
240.
guess, the outcome was a knockout.
Tap to strikes. So yeah, technically a TKO. So this was
at that level. You're not seeing too much
he
jiu-jitsu and submissions. And
and he was a really nice guy. He was like a kids instructor at a kung fu place at 260 pounds.
Jeez.
Just the
Kung
nut,
fu
big
at that
nerd.
level? Wow.
Big nerd. Like we Facebook stalked him, and he had he was a big D&D nerd and loved video games and all this. Like,
Jeez.
oh man,
Like a
he's
big
gonna
teddy
suck.
bear, huh?
Jason's gonna kill him.
Funny.
Stuck behind his jab very well because he had a stand-up. I mean, he'd been doing it for. His jab was very good. His footwork was very nice. His kicks were pretty good. Dick for cardio.
Well, I mean,
Because he's 260 pounds.
I was gonna say who does?
So
Nobody does.
he's throwing everything to include the kitchen sink at Jason.
Yeah, and that's what most heavyweights do. They're not like being technical. They're like
Swinging.
everything's got too much
Like,
purpose.
oh, is that the fence over there? I can hit it.
And so what
gassed
happens
out.
when you're throwing that much power behind every punch,
You
you're
gas out.
draining, you're wasting it.
Yeah.
You're sprinting trying to finish the
That's
marathon.
why like bantamweights and featherweights, the lighter classes, They're more technical.
Oh, it's like watching
they have
a
more
fight
more
in fast
cardio,
forward.
more talent, not talent, but more skill, right?
Great.
Where the heavy ones are, it's entertaining to see who's gonna turn the lights out on this guy
Yeah.
first, right?
So Brian gassed out around the second round. So Jason just basically stood and banged with him, which was a dumb idea. And he got caught a couple times. I don't think he dropped him in that first fight. I don't think Jason's ever been really dropped. So he sort of gasses out halfway into the second round, and then Jason was like, "Oh wait, I know how to wrestle. Oh, okay, let's do this now." Sets him up pretty well, just takes him down and just mauls him. Took him down, and just basically laid him out and hit him with a ground and pound, and the guy ended up tapping the strikes.
People don't realize that, at home or when you watch a fight, you're thinking, why doesn't he do this? Why doesn't he do that? Why isn't he listening to this corner, right? Because when you're in the moment, you're in that cage, it's
chaos.
You get caught up in the moment sometimes. So maybe you're a wrestler and you're going up against a striker, and the striker starts hitting you, right? And your game plan is not to stand up with this guy because that's your weakness. Your strength is to get him on the ground. But if the guy's hitting you, guess what? You're going to hit me? I'll hit. That didn't hurt. How about this? And the next thing you're striking with a striker.
Yeah.
It's like, what the hell?
Yeah.
It's fun.
Well, I mean, it's the same thing. When we talked to
the
Lucius
reservations.
on our last show, he was
Yes.
talking about when he got onto the stadium, you didn't hear the crowd.
No.
You were all stuck. So you don't hear your corner man. You're so focused on your sport and your actions and everything. You're not hearing what that guy's saying in the background kind of thing.
The first time I cornered, I was like, how loud? Like, because
What's the etiquette, right?
they tell you, like, don't swear, don't be a wild monkey. I was like, all right, I guess. But I was like, what if I scream? So my biggest fear was that I would tell him to do something. No, I wouldn't worry about that. That's for the crowd. My biggest fear was I would give him advice and it would get him, like, caught.
Yeah.
So I was like, what do I do?
Yeah.
And at the same time, I don't want to say something and look like an idiot.
Yeah.
Hit him.
Yeah, so I was kind of, punch his face additionally.
Don't get hit.
Hit his stupid
more
face
hits
some
to the
more.
face.
Win the fight.
Choke his throat.
Ref sucks.
Oh my god. So I was like, that first fight I was so timid. Like, I'm kind of sitting there.
Well, when in doubt, don't say anything.
What do I mean, what? And so thankfully the other corner, who was a seasoned heavyweight at the in the amateurs, knew exactly what to do. I'm like,
And again,
am I holding towels? Okay, I'll hold towels and buckets, and I will do the shit out of that.
Yeah.
I will hold that towel and that bucket better than anyone.
but again, a lot of times these guys, even at the top levels of UFC, whatever, they
got
might
it.
not even hear
they
their
don't hear you.
cornermen they've
It's
worked
big
with for years.
Yeah, it's big. So that was the first fight I cornered. And then the second one.
And this was in 2016?
Yeah, this would have been December of 16.
16.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the second one was when he went to San Jose. Beat the shit out of that guy too. Same thing. Let him gas out, took him down, punched his face. Ref stopped it. So that was the second fight I cornered.
You're 2-0.
Yeah, at the time, yeah.
Oh, what a great
You're
corner.
lucky charm.
So then at this time, his Muay Thai coach at the time was Tony Dominguez at 8 Drums Muay Thai in Stockton. He had MMA fighters, amateur fighters with him. So there was a big card coming up. It was Titan. It was the last Titans card they did. It was the first one they had pros and amateurs. It was the first time they had pros. So they did amis and pros together. And Tony was cornering. How many did we have? 2 amateurs. 2 amateurs and a pro. So I cornered 3 fights with him. The first amateur won. That was my buddy AP. And he won by submission, and we didn't think he was going to do that.
That wasn't the game plan.
No, because he'd been boxing like since he was a kid. So we're like, oh, so he's either going to knock him out or just get a bunch of like legit 10-8 rounds. He's going to mess this kid's face up.
Yeah.
Oh, did you just take him down?
You're like, what?
Where'd that come from, right?
Because we were like, okay,
We didn't teach you that. Where'd
Our
you learn
heads are
this?
like, we're
That's
geared
so
for
weird
like,
about the whole-
all right, setups, combos, hands,
Yeah.
head fakes, movements, angles, all this.
Was the other guy a grappler?
He was a blue belt. Way better than me, yeah. Way better than me. Who was also...
No, the guy he was fighting.
fighting.
No, he was a guy.
So that's probably why. I mean,
He was a guy.
he wasn't
He's a
expecting
guy.
it either, right?
No.
Get him on the ground and lay on
And
him.
then he ends up, because he wrestled in high school, so he takes him down and takes his back. And I remember me and my buddy were like,
Wow.
seatbelt secures, get your hooks. And he ends up choking this guy.
Plan
And we're
B.
like,
Yeah, we
That
played
just
that.
happened.
We won. We won.
What? You joking? Yeah.
Did he
You're
say
damn
what-
right he did.
Did
Yeah.
He, did he say why he?
It just that's how it happened.
It just felt like the
Dude,
right
I
thing
saw
to
it.
do.
I went for it. Okay,
so-
that's.
okay,
We
we're
thought
good.
you were just gonna
Sometimes that
box his
works.
dumb face off,
Yeah.
but you
Sometimes
choked it.
if the game plan wasn't that and you get knocked down, then what the hell were you thinking?
And the first pro I cornered was on that card too. His name's Phil. Phil has long, beautiful long hair, like a horse's mane that's been well groomed.
Okay.
Fabio.
But actually a little curlier, a little darker, but yeah.
It's not butter.
The girl that was supposed to braid his hair back for the fight.
Uh-oh.
Uh,
Whoop, whoop.
So yeah.
so you
that could
learned
be a
how to braid
problem.
hair that day.
So now you're in a room filled with mostly dudes.
Braiding the
Because I
guy's
think the
hair.
2 female fighters had already left. So we're like,
How do you braid hair?
what are we gonna do about this? So he's
Google
like,
that.
nah, it'll be okay. I'm like, well, no,
Yeah, I was gonna say,
it's
that's-
not gonna be okay. You got long, pretty hair. So we were like, all right, I guess we're doing this. And he was fighting a guy from Alpha Male, a legit. So there's guys who will say they're Alpha Male.
That showed up once a month or
They're not Alpha Male. They're Uriah Faber Ultimate Fitness fighters.
fitness.
They're not
Yeah.
Team Alpha Male.
Yeah.
I want to make that distinction very clear.
yeah.
Because I've had guys like, oh, I'm a Team Alpha Male. I'm like, oh, really?
No.
Oh, so you train in the big white pro room? Like, well, no. Oh, you train with Alpha Male, meaning you
That's
roll
one-
with them
one of
sometimes.
the biggest names in MMA.
But on the
training
card,
Okay.
you're actually registered for Ultimate Fitness. I see what you're trying to do. See,
Yeah.
you're full of shit. I got okay. Moving on. Yeah.
You're in
Very
the
cool.
same building.
Yeah.
But it's not
Yeah.
the same.
Yeah, that bragging shit ain't gonna work. With
Yeah,
me.
yeah.
I actually know the difference. But he went against my buddy Phil. Went against this guy. I think his name's Hector. Hector beat the hell out. So he really good, obviously. But Phil had like his hair was just like oh no, this isn't good. So he'd get like punched. So he'd get punched in the face with a fist and with his own hair.
So you guys did not YouTube how to braid hair and braid the guy's
what?
hair?
With what?
I don't
Like
know. Like
Chicken bones.
Yeah.
Like
yeah,
Flintstones.
something.
And he was like,
You
no,
could've- you could have used like some
It's,
kind of like
I'll be fine. Like
tape or like
Phil,
something.
you're not
Come
gonna
on,
be
man.
like this is
You
not
know,
gonna
okay,
end
no,
well.
plan B is here's a shears.
Yeah.
It's like no,
Oh,
it'll be
jeez.
okay. Like okay, I love you.
I don't
That's
think
what
I
you
would
want to
go
do,
in
and
there
I
with
love
long.
you. So
I don't think I go in there with long hair. Then get it. Yeah, that's kind of.
I was
That's,
kind of like,
that's
all
where
right,
you
let's-
failed as a corner man.
I
Like you
guess,
didn't braid the
shit.
hair. You
First pro fight, I'm
You have
already
one job
fucking
to
up.
do. One fucking
you
job to
just
do.
needed to braid his hair.
That was that was such a fun war to watch because
Yeah.
they just beat the hell out of each other, and
Yeah.
his face staff, he got the hell beat out of him.
Yeah.
Did he win?
No,
he
lost by
lost.
decision. Lost by decision.
Never let the judges.
Hector didn't look too pretty walking out of there either. But that was a great fight.
Yeah.
Even with the hair issue, like, damn son, good job.
Yeah.
Imagine if his hair was braided, he might have won.
Maybe.
Maybe.
It was a great fight. And then cornered another buddy, Aaron Graff, who was fighting for a 145 title, who ended up losing by decision. So I had 2 losses in one night. I was like, but I've also doubled, in one card, I've doubled the amount of fights I've cornered, so that's fun.
There you go.
And I'm cornering again for Jason Fonzie, the Irish Bull, in
Name
Roseville next weekend. I'm cornering him.
Yeah, I saw your post that you'll be
What
cornering
circuit
next
was this?
weekend, kind of thing. Yeah.
So this promotion is called
So I know this will. Well, this
is it?
actually should go
Panda
up
Cup.
before this. So yeah, you would.
Yeah.
Yeah, this will go up before you're actually cornering. So yeah, people will be.
So
it
the
will be
Panda
relevant to
Cup
them.
is actually really cool because they do amateur MMA, grappling, and kids pancration.
And they like every other fight or something, or
They usually
at the same event.
yeah. So usually they administratively they call them show 1 and show 2 for ticket reasons. So show 1 is I think it starts with kids pancration, which is basically kids MMA with like headgear and gloves and shin pads and all that, and no facial strikes.
Okay.
So it's kind of like tournament karate. You can't hit the face.
Yeah.
So it's like body shots
point
and grappling. Dude, that is holy shit. Is that scary to watch? Like,
Was it
Yeah.
was it a cage or a ring?
that's cage.
Okay.
It's the same cage. They use one cage for it. It's the same thing.
I went to I can't remember
so
the
cool to
circuit
watch.
down here. There
I want
was
my daughter to do it.
There was a friend of mine was fighting on the card at OC Fairgrounds.
Yeah.
I forgot the name of the circuit. It wasn't King of the Cage because he normally fights that one. But they had every other fight. They had boxing and then MMA. it was a boxing ring because obviously you can't have a boxing, in a cage.
yeah.
So MMA, like Pride, right?
They did it
with
in the ring.
with rings. Some of these guys have never fought in a boxing ring.
Yeah.
There's a whole different
different.
skill set.
Yeah.
Even a cage for that matter.
Yeah,
You don't get the wall.
You don't have the wall. Yeah, you don't have that wall to push up against and
Right.
everything.
So cool
Yeah,
to watch.
yeah,
It's so cool.
It's
And then after that, they do grappling, and then they do the amateurs. So
Yeah.
I get to watch kids beat the hell out of each other, adults choke the hell out of each other, and then adults beat the hell out of each other.
yeah.
And I get to be ringside, which is probably tied for third best spot.
Yeah.
Next to like timekeepers and refs, like it's all right there.
yeah. That's
So
when I film
cool.
concerts for some of the stuff I do.
It's so cool.
When I get to go like in front of the pit and like there's that little like public, like not public, but the like press access
Yeah.
like little area. I'm right here in the crowd. They're just
It's
like I'm
in your
feeling
face.
If you're not there,
they're dripping sweat
If-
onto
Yeah.
the cameras. And
Oh,
yeah,
if
yeah.
you're
the
not
best
there,
part.
then you need to be like the first tier where we're
Yeah,
at because
yeah.
everywhere else on the floor sucks.
Yeah. And so I get that. Because you get
So
that whole
fun.
energy and everything from just being right there.
Yeah.
And like then the
you
cameras
can-
in
you
my
can
hand, I'm like,
hear
I wanna
the-
capture the best shot kind of thing. Yeah.
What did the UFC? What was the one? Khabib versus McGregor.
Yeah.
Right. Or any of the Khabib fights where he talks to the other guys. I don't
Yeah.
have you followed it at
No,
all?
I'm
So
aware
he-
of it. Yeah.
so
yeah.
he talks to, and there's some audio that comes
One of
out
the
with
greatest
he's
shit
got a guy against the fence because he pins him against the fence and he's beating him.
beating him and
He's
talking to him at
yeah,
the same
I am
time."
the best. You know this. You know this.
Yeah.
I beat your face. I am the
He
best.
Fought, Michael Johnson.
He's talking to him. Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah.
You know I deserve
Please-
it. I'm the
please
best.
give up.
You know,
Please.
you
I'm
know
begging
I
you,
did.
please give
You
up.
know this to be
Don't
true.
make me do this.
It is.
Yeah, make me do
It is.
this.
Yeah.
It is broken English.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You know this to be the true.
Please,
to be
I
true.
must win.
Yeah.
Dana, look at this. I need title fight now. Give me to me now.
Okay,
Yeah.
I like this
Man.
guy.
Yeah.
I like him.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so fun to watch. And then watching the progression of the growth from like pre-fight, fight camp, the marketing, the build-up, all that stuff is just it's a story.
Yeah.
So if you love stories, I did because I played Dungeons and Dragons and Vampire the Masquerade.
So
pen
you
and
were the
paper.
nerd in high school.
I was
So
a
we're
big
going
nerd.
back here.
Back then.
Full circle here.
Full
Like,
circle. I
Yeah,
will
you were the
ramble.
nerd. You weren't the bully. You were
Oh,
the nerd.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Pen and paper
Explains.
D&D.
I knew it was going to come out eventually.
Oh
yeah.
yeah, big time. If there was a LARP scene, I would have been in. There was a LARP scene in Davis. I think that kind of went away. Vampire the Masquerade, pen and paper, like not the also the video game, also the pen and paper. We have to write your stats down and that. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Huge. And so this would have been like early 2000s. So like the big I had an
Yeah.
E-machine, huge tube monitors. And this was before LANs. This was when remember LAN cafes?
Yeah,
Computer
yeah,
cafes?
yeah.
Jeez.
So there was
Wow.
4 in our area. So there was Java City, which was right by the high school, which wasn't really a LAN. It was like a Starbucks with a bunch of computers.
Yeah.
But it had Counter-Strike,
Yep.
so that's all we needed.
I remember my first year of high school. Like,
remember
before we even
1.3.
started high school, a friend, he's like, "Hey, we're gonna go." I'm like, "Okay, sure." I've never played this. Didn't know. We spent 8 hours. We
Yeah.
came out, and I'm like, our eyes had like, I'm like,
What year is it?
Yeah. Oh my god, we've been playing for this
Jeez.
long. Yeah.
Which
it was-
way is up and
Can't
down?
imagine. I don't know who you guys are.
I've never done it again.
Oh,
it was
I
one
love
of
it.
those things, but it was a weird
Then there
experience.
was
Yeah.
Arena Elite, L337, Arena Elite, which was across the street from Oakmont High School. And I still, it's not there anymore. I still drive by the building, the shopping center. And it was just a big room surrounded with computers with some console, like some video games in the middle. And they would do like all night lock-in parties. They would do Counter-Strike tournaments.
Oh my gosh.
Then there was Frag Zone in Granite Bay, which
Frag
was,
Zone, that's cool.
oh, it was beautiful.
Sounds like cool.
It was like it was kind of dimly lit with like real nice LEDs. It was just the ambiance of it was just spectacular.
Sounds cool.
It was down the road from Beals Point, Folsom Lake. And then there was another one somewhere in Roseville that we're still trying to remember the name of this place. It was tiny, it was dark, it was great. Those obviously are all went away, but that got me into LAN parties. So we started doing our own LAN parties in like 2000. It's me, my buddy Brian, who I still hang out with and go to his house and do the same thing to this day. One of my best friends
What,
in the
LAN
world.
parties of 2?
Yeah. Oh no, all of us. The same crew. It's just we've basically gone from
cafe
the
to-
dining room of his parents' house.
Okay.
And then we went into the living room because we had more friends at the time because we found more nerd friends. And then we went
found
to
more.
like
Growing.
this kind of like this big barn garage structure which was maybe about the size of the second story up here, and because we found more friends, we found more nerd friends. We need more room at Brian's dad's house. And now he has a house, and usually like on a big day or a big party, we'll just get like a group text. Like, actually, I think they're doing it tonight. Like, land tonight.
You know what's funny? There's a comedian. I forget. Sal Maniscalco, I think it is.
I know what you're talking about.
He has a bit about the internet. He says, well, the title of his thing is like, "What's wrong with people?"
Oh yeah.
He says, it used to be that you do your thing at your house and nobody knew about it, but now with the internet, he says, used to be if you want to sit in your basement and wear diapers and you can do that. Now
So fun.
it's on the internet, so now you go to a fucking Holiday Inn and there's a conference room full of people walking around their diapers.
You're going to one of those conferences.
I'm actually going to two of them.
What's wrong with people?
Even better. So
A diaper conference, but he's going to it.
even better, I'm helping to organize it.
Oh, jeez.
So it's called Landfest.
Yeah.
Sacramento. It's sponsored by Intel. It used to be the first few venues were at the actual Intel building in Folsom. It was beautiful. It was huge. It was in like their cafeteria area. And obvious for what should be obvious reasons, Intel was like, "We're good. We gave you 3 events. Find another venue."
We're nerds,
please."
but you're home for a little.
The stench
Oh, yeah.
was it has to be still on the carpet.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Oh boy. Because really, and
They
we're
talk
talking
about it at conventions. And,
Oh, yeah.
and especially
We're
one,
talking about
like, the nerd conventions.
These are my people.
Yeah, no, I get it. I get
Mad
it.
people.
I mean, I go to cosplay conventions. I go to all this stuff.
You're
Yo, I
preaching to the
know.
choir
I
there.
get it. I
They
get it.
interesting. They some interesting folk.
I understand.
I'll be in the other room.
A fair, let's say, 2/3 of the people haven't quite figured out
Life.
average social interactions.
Awkward.
A little awkward here and there. A little too loud for the room. Maybe they drop a few too inappropriate things they will say every now and then. They don't know how to feel a room out. Clearly no performance backgrounds. Those are my people.
Those are my people.
So they did another one at Great Escapes, which was a comic store.
Okay.
Like they did comics. They have like
It's a cool
Warhammer.
name too. I like that name.
Oh, it's such a. If you're in SAC, you gotta go. It's so cool.
Okay.
They do like Warhammer, D&D, Magic Tournament,
So are you
Magic
into
Gathering.
comic books?
Not as much anymore.
Okay.
More of the gaming
I was
aspect.
gonna ask him about. Have you heard of Bloodshot?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
I would say that would have been your time too. Like but that's the thing. A lot of
Comics
people
weren't my thing.
A lot of people aren't really familiar with Bloodshot. Like it's. I think it's because it's that like underground comic book scene.
Yeah.
It's not the bigger
book scene
Marvels,
itself is
DCs
pretty
and stuff.
underground.
And well, no, hold on. You just had
Pump
the
the brakes.
biggest movie like just come
How
out
many
yesterday.
of those people
Yeah.
watching it read the comics though?
That's true.
That's
But-
in that
That's true.
context.
I'll give you that. I will give you that. Because
Like
I mean,
plenty of people are seeing the movies, but
Yeah.
if you watch the Spider-Man movies but you read the comic,
Oh, I
you
see.
lose it.
Yeah.
Like no,
No, that's not true. I've read Spider-Man. I love the renditions that they're doing because
They're
I think I take
okay.
I take a different perspective.
But there's so many storylines of all these
That-
characters.
that's
Like, how do you?
exactly-
How would
I
you?
can-
It's not like
like-
one storyline. There's 10 issues. It's
There's-
like there's
there's
Like I'm one of those
hundreds.
guys. It must be verbatim.
No, see, I can't
It
do
must.
that. I can't because I understand that you're not going. You can't even get books to do the right thing
Yeah.
in movies, and I understand it's a different medium. And so there's going to be the situations where
those
it's not.
guys.
You can't do it exactly like a comic book will write it or
Kids reading
scribble.
comic books was even back when like I was a kid was pretty niche.
Yeah,
because computers
no,
had
yeah.
computers
Yeah.
had taken over.
Yeah, it was a
There's
basement
online
dweller.
comic books.
I mean,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
exactly. Basement dwellers were the comic book people.
I did.
It was
collect
in
comic
secret.
cards,
kind of-
though. The
I didn't
Fleer
know there was such a
Ultra
thing.
9. Oh yeah, I had a huge collection of comic cards. So the Landfest is a non-profit, which is funny. Go figure. I'm doing PR for another non-profit, right? And they're doing it at the McClellan Conference Center, which is like a 400 spot venue, and it's huge. And they're doing a one before that at Del Campo High School, which is a local high school in the gym. So apparently, what they have told me is high schools are reaching out, like, hey, we like what you're doing, because they're a nonprofit mostly for Make-A-Wish and a group called One Up.
So I've heard of One Up. Yeah.
Yeah, they work with
They're-
One
they're
Up and with
pretty big,
Make-A-Wish.
yeah.
So I'm guessing for that association, local high schools are like, hey, this sounds cool.
It's
Plus
yeah.
we have a video game club.
Yeah, yeah. I can totally understand.
So I'm on their PR. They fucked up.
No kidding. What are
I'm
they
on that.
thinking?
I have access to their Facebook right now, and I've got about 30 posts scheduled in the next couple weeks. Because they didn't, like, not a lot of guys really know how to manage social media, especially if you're...
Boundaries.
That's the few times where I'm legit G-rated. Like, oh, I'm doing something for someone else?
Okay, let's tone it down a
I'm just
little
going
bit.
to take these brain cells and store them right here for the moment so I can interact with parents and children. So I run their their Facebook and their I think they're giving me access to the Instagram once they figure out how to do that. But what I've noticed is like a lot of single event based venues usually only advertise around time it's time to sell tickets.
Yeah.
Like if you look at like Aftershock, which I am going to, it's a huge metal festival in Sacramento. They're usually like you like EDC, a lot of those big venues. Yeah, they may only have one or two a year, but they're giving out constant content. Like, hey, remember this? Hey, you remember this? Hey, here's a picture of this, just to let their audience know that they're still alive.
Yeah.
Landfest wasn't doing that because they were nonprofit part-timers, and they're all tech guys.
Yeah.
They're network heads. They're hardware heads. They don't know how to do social media.
At the same time, though, like for certain things like that, they don't necessarily need to promote it as much because they have the community that's going to come up.
Yep.
Like all they need is that one. Oh yeah, that's the date. Cool, we're there.
That's what they've been working with so far.
And that's one of those things where you can get away with that and be just fine.
So the venue, that I think the reason they're shifting is because before they could just sort of set up, I'm assuming, for darn near free at Intel, which also had great internet, this, that, and the other. Now they have to really pay for a venue.
Yeah.
And with that venue, most conference centers, they're not set up for high-speed internet. They're set up for laying user, like, check emails.
Compared to Intel, I'm sure.
Yeah. They're not used to, like, gaming-level internet.
Yeah.
So they're like, all right, we need to up the marketing game. Like, hi, how are you? James Shanahan.
Yeah.
This is literally what I do.
And so that's cool. That because you're branching out, and one of the things.
I'm stoked. I'm so happy.
And the reason we've connected and everything is
because I'm insane.
Airsoft. No, not because you're insane. Because of Airsoft. And so we're not necessarily a big Airsoft podcast or anything in that sense, but we are here at an Airsoft field.
But we are a big deal.
You might have heard some of the shots going off in the background of our tech department earlier in the podcast here. Because
It's over there.
Yeah. Well, he's that way. He's sitting on a bench that way.
He's in this general area.
Yeah. But it is one of those things we are right now. There are people downstairs shooting each other in the face with BB guns.
Cool.
You have a very unique situation.
We can use that's a fair word to use, I would say.
Unique.
I don't know if there's any other church
If there is,
Airsoft fields.
it doesn't have a presence.
Yeah.
That's the decider. 'Cause
And
I'm
If
sure
it
there
exists,
is,
no one
but
knows about it except the people that attend.
And so
it's probably periodically, not on a routine basis.
you have every weekend you do stuff. You're trying to create a tournament stuff this
yeah.
summer.
I'm
I know
obsessed.
we talked a little bit about that online.
I'm obsessed.
You just did your 1 year anniversary event.
9.
9 year anniversary.
9.
What? Why did I think 1 year? Jesus Christ. 9 year anniversary that had over 100.
We had like 340, 350
There was a number I
people.
was looking for. I was just letting you brag a little bit there. Yeah.
Terrible idea. Oh my god. That was the best, worst idea.
10 people? No.
No.
Times.
You had a great turnout. You have
Oh, it
you
was
have
wonderful.
A great
It
following
was
online.
greater than anything I thought I could have ever done. I can't believe they agreed to it.
And that's one of the coolest things I can see is the airsoft community down here in SoCal is very toxic and can be very
Excuse me.
Definitely can be, yeah.
and for the most part it is. But up
It's
there
also a lot older. It's more established. I think that helps.
Yeah, I
well,
mean-
and by
Well,
not helps, I think that's where
in
it
years,
might be
but not
rooted.
necessarily in mentality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, but the one thing I do notice from up there, from some of the social posts and things like that, you get a lot more of a friendlier vibe, I guess.
Yeah,
maybe?
we do what we want.
Yeah. And I mean, I do laugh that recently you have been called the field bully. Yeah.
By who?
Players.
I love that shit. So what I like to do
Is that your field?
Oh yeah, it's no, not at my field. No, hell no. Probably because they physically fear me.
Field bully.
So what I like to do sometimes
posted a couple
is like
videos up.
if kids group up, I'll just start yelling at them to move. And so like I will intentionally do that because in my mind I'm like, oh, this will blow up on Instagram right now. So I'll take
sure we
something
get this
of
on
just
film.
me,
Yeah.
just me yelling at kids, like trying to get them to push up or get out of my way. Or I'm like,
You're like,
if you
"Oh,
don't
man,
move, I'm
oh,
gonna
man,
shoot you in the butt. And you
Well,
see
get
like
off
little
my
kids.
lawn guy.
Oh yeah, I'll show you the videos. They're hilarious. And then people
Clint
are just
Eastwood.
like, how could you do that? I'm like, you. That's why I'll like.
They're just kids. They can't fight
I'll
back.
screenshot that and put it in a story. Be like, this idiot fell into the trap.
You should have saw what wasn't filmed. Like I punched him in the face
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. So
They signed a waiver.
Or like I had one kid. I think he was an adult. He was just like short. So he walks in and I'm just like, go away. I basically bang killed him. He just walks into
what
it.
you should do? You should play off of that. Like we talked before about the
So fun.
Carl's Jr. Instagram.
yeah.
How they
And
get
that-
real sarcastic.
Yeah.
You should do that.
I do that for the ministry actually. The
main-
field's
Really push-
Instagram
well,
itself is
well, I
pretty
don't know
cheeky.
to what point you can, with theirs.
It's pretty G level, but it is cheeky.
But I'm saying, if it, not your Instagram, but you can say stuff like, yeah, I beat up the little kids afterwards.
Oh, yeah.
And
I'll show you some of the stuff
super
afterwards. It's
sarcastic,
so
right?
funny.
But I do want to
Took their
talk.
lunch
How
money.
is it like running an airsoft field on church grounds, and having the church actually provide the airsoft?
There's gonna be
lot of
pluses
fun.
and minuses to it, right?
Yeah. Dude, spiritually, like, it's probably one of the things that saved my life.
Okay.
It got me going back to church.
And how long ago was airsoft started for you?
January. I started going to the Airsoft Ministry about when I came back from Cuba, so about January 2016.
Okay.
I
Just
started
about the same time as MMA. So kind of fighting yourself.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's
cool.
basically what 2016. So like in my
Big year for you.
yeah, my Gitmo deployment was like. So I was the platoon sergeant for the external security force under the Joint Detention Group in Gitmo, which was basically like, so not the camps themselves, but in order for you to come in the AO where the camps are, you have to get past my guys. So they did like access control, roving patrols, tower guard, watching the ocean, make sure the Cubans don't invade.
The wire.
The word, not the wire. That's so the Marines do the bases perimeter. Okay. We did the perimeter for the JDG. So our piece was just to protect the Joint Detention Group itself, which was connected to the main base. It's just
It's like the layers of an onion.
it's just such a shit show, the worst onion imaginable. So I had a lot. I was the platoon sergeant there, so I was a manager. So I was standard, like kind of a 9 to 5, weekends off, standard 5/8 sort of. I wasn't working shifts. I wasn't standing a post. I wasn't working back-to-back 12s.
And you're in Cuba. That's nice.
Yeah. So I had it pretty easy. So I had a lot of time for like reflection. And so I spent easily 90% of the time in the MWR on my laptop. Just, that's where I got into Joe Rogan. It's where I got into podcasts. It's where I got into a bunch of stuff.
So Cuba saved your life. In a way.
Kind of, yeah.
Or started the process of.
Started the process. So I started to figure out like who I was.
What you wanted,
Because
what
for,
your goals were.
for
kind of thing,
years, I had a huge problem trying to figure out where Staff Sergeant Shahan stopped and where James Shahan began. Like I didn't have a line. Like for me, it was the same thing.
Yeah.
It was the only thing I knew how to do.
Yeah.
The girl I was dating at the time actually, so like, when I would get like grumpy or mad, she would call me Sergeant Shahan. She'd be like, "You're being Sergeant Shahan right now. I'm gonna go away." I'm like, "Fuck, all right."
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, so I was dating her throughout Cuba, and then she left me when I got back.
I was
so
just
that's,
gonna say, you're
the statistic
Yeah,
holds
Out of
through.
it
country.
holds through.
It
Yeah,
holds
there you
through.
go.
It's a horrible statistic, but it is factually accurate.
So are you dating somebody right now?
No.
I was gonna say so you have no plans of going,
Deploying anywhere
going
out.
on
Yeah.
vacation.
No, maybe I should.
So if you went on vacation with, say you had a girlfriend right now, went on vacation out of country, only 2 leave, 1 comes back.
Maybe. Maybe.
Hey, I love to go to Europe. Oh,
We
no,
can
no,
tell
no, no,
hilarious
no, no, no. We're not going
relationship
to Europe.
stories too, and all the horrible dates. Yeah, that'll be.
We don't have enough time.
I want a free trip to Europe. Oh no, we can't go.
So I started messing with the airsoft field, and Cubic sort of convinced me. I was like, I don't want to fucking do this anymore.
Yeah.
So I ETS'd.
You just want to play pretend military.
Yeah, not even that. I just want to shoot kids in the face.
There you go.
There it is.
So I didn't really
lot of fun.
have like a.
If you guys haven't done it, try it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't have like a thing to do. Like, yeah, I had stuff I was doing at work. So I was like a 5-subject instructor at work. That was a real pain in the ass. There's a lot of shit I had to do that I didn't believe in it. I just kind of did it just to kill time, stuff like that. So when I got hooked in with the airsoft field, it's maybe 5 minutes from where I live in Antelope.
Yeah.
Maybe it's down. It's
Jeez, you can walk there.
it might be close. So that my parents' house to the airsoft field might be closer than it might be closer than here to Carl's Jr. That's that. Yeah, that's fair. It's about 3 miles.
Yeah.
It's probably about 3 miles.
Yeah.
So I started going there just as a player. Like, okay, this is fun. This is something to do, I guess. And it's down the street from that. Like, come on. I need something to do because my girlfriend just left me.
And the church staff ran it at that point?
Yeah, it's run by. They only had. I think the first time I was there might have been 2 or 3 people.
Working or playing?
Working it.
Okay.
Yeah, working it. And there was, at the time, we were averaging like 60 to 80 kids. Like 80 was
Pretty good.
80 kids? Are you like?
Is
this like
fields
4
out here
birthday
that would
parties?
Wish they had 80 people.
Oh boy.
I was gonna say.
Not gonna mention any
I think
names.
we have more than 80 players downstairs right now.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Too soon. So like they didn't really. Like, they just sort of existed. They didn't really advertise a whole lot. They weren't very active in a lot of their mediums. Yeah. And I needed something to do.
Was it just like a church activity?
Yeah.
Like that
It
was
started
available?
as
have the
Yeah.
space.
Yeah,
why
we
not
have the
do
space.
something
Yeah,
with it?
because it has, so there's like the main body church, which is not your average corner church. It's not very big, but it was on this big lot. Like the space behind it is immense.
Yeah.
It's just this giant backyard, basically. So they, I think Ethan started doing it initially just to pass time while his parents were still in the adult service.
Yeah.
So they just started as time passing. Then they turned it into an actual thing. So when I got there, I think I got there when they were about 6 or 7 years in.
Wow.
And like they were struggling, like they're trying to manage kids and do all these things. I was
Because
having
it was
fun.
kind of growing.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And they didn't know how to handle
Because
the
it's in a
growth.
residential area
And they weren't even yeah, jeez.
next to a school.
Jeez.
Imagine if TAC was next to a junior high. What that means is that
Outdoors also.
Yeah, what that really means is you're in a residential area, off of next to a busy street. Well, Largo is it's basically one of the main streets in the area, between Antelope and it's a huge street.
I
And
remember
it
seeing
connects-
a post where there was somebody complaining that they got shot with the BB.
In their car driving or something?
No, at the park next to it
Yeah,
or something.
that-
But you're like, it's not physically possible. These things don't go that far.
We're trying to figure out how that happened.
How that happened?
Because what kind of sucks is, so it's the field, and then on the other side is like this big, kind of like a park, and then next to that is the junior high, and then road, church, busy road.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're like, I mean, it's feasibly
It's 1,000
how-
feet away kind
like,
of
did
thing.
someone
Like,
grab
yeah.
There's
grab
no
a sniper and go,
safety
hey, is that a small girl?
Yeah. Yeah.
We have no idea how that happened. Yeah, so there's that. So like I was
and
helping
the town
out.
has no problems with it,
No, I love it. It's part of a church.
Yeah.
but still, I mean, at one point people
That's what we need to do. We just
Nope.
need to start our own church.
put a cross on the building.
Yeah, put a cross on the building. We won't have any problems. Yeah.
I mean, apparently it's really easy to be recognized as a church.
Wait, the
we
first
have
Satanic
services
church
7 days
just
a
got
week.
recognized.
Kanye's trying to do it. Shoot.
Yeah, jeez.
Kanye.
So
If he's doing it.
Yeah.
I was
Trendsetter.
kind of got a good reputation.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, this is kind of fun. Just sort of like helping out. Like, hey, dude, like, you want help with something? Like, is there anything I can do to help you guys out? Like for the day? Like, yeah, if you could like do some teams, because they kind of got a feel for me. It's like, hey, this guy's not a dirtbag. Like,
Yeah.
They didn't really know like anything about me.
Yeah.
I always keep that. Like, I don't like talking about that shit for the most part. I just kind of
Well,
like.
now everyone knows.
Well, yeah,
'cause
now
it's-
everyone knows.
It's on here, yeah.
But like, I don't advertise. Like, you're
The
not
whole
going to
20
see me.
viewers we get. So, I mean,
Oh,
you're
yeah.
fine. Yeah, you're,
20, we're
yeah,
up to 20.
we're up to 20. Woo,
Doubled
yeah.
them last week.
Yeah, yeah.
Double. That's
Because
what
everyone knew I was coming down. So half the viewers right now are going to be from NorCal.
triple.
But like I don't own a single piece of grunt style. Like
Yeah.
if you were to look at me walking around a mall, you're not gonna go, oh, that guy was totally in the army because of how.
They would just look at him as like a.
Once
you know,
I open my mouth,
like a
That's
child
when they
molester.
realize.
that's when they realize
Yeah.
it. But like, I don't just walk around like I was in the army, as judged by this shirt I'm wearing. Like, nah, it's not. It's cool. It's not.
Yeah.
For me, I've been carrying guns my whole life. I'm like, it's just a thing. I don't want the
another thing.
attention.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I just don't want the fucking attention. Believe it or not, if you could be like, did he just say he doesn't want the attention? So I was like, hey, what do you want me to do to be like? I would love to be a volunteer here, like an actual staff member. So Ethan hands me a paper application. I'm reading through it, and like one of the big things was, do you call yourself a Christian? Like, Oh shit. So here's the thing about that. Like, I went to mass a few times in Iraq because everyone goes to church when they're deployed or in basics. So, this is.
Well, I'm not an atheist, and I'm not.
So this is deeper than I realized it was going to be. Sure. Yeah. Okay. Let's start going back. Like, hey, dude. Like, I don't know. Like, what do you want me to do? I don't know. He's like, well, just start going to church and see if that's for you. I'm like, oh yeah, sure. Okay, yeah. Why not? Sure. Cool. Hey, I actually like this church.
So Sunday morning church.
First service for us
mass?
is 9 a.m.
Okay, so you do mass first.
No,
and then...
I haven't done mass in years.
Okay. Well,
I tried doing mass again.
So wait.
I used to
So
be.
service is not mass. I'm
Not
not
anymore,
a church
no.
person. Okay. I'm like.
So mass is specific to the Catholic faith.
Oh, okay.
And it starts about 10 minutes before the sun rises.
Okay. So
And there's a lot of it's a leg day.
you
Sitting
do.
and standing,
Let me
sitting
get
and
this
standing,
straight. Then.
kneeling
So
and
you
sitting and
do
standing.
service then, and then you go play
You just
airsoft.
walk up the road, yeah.
Okay.
So first service for us is at 9 a.m. I try.
But that's not a requirement of your players, right?
No.
Yeah. Okay.
It's actually not even. So to be a staff member, you just have to be a Christian living a Christian life. So you could be from a church down the road.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be
an
specific.
atheist or a Satan
Yeah.
worshiper. Or,
Which
Yeah.
kind of makes sense because it's a Christian ministry. So
Yeah.
it's the same standards if you wanted to run like the high school group or any other church ministry.
Yeah.
But literally anyone can show up. Anyone can play. We don't care. So that was actually one of the things that I made sure to address in the survey that I created was I addressed the religious aspect of our players. So I would have the governing body for our church and really the airsoft field is, we call it the Council of Elders, which sounds like a group of people that would send you on a quest to take a ring up to a mountain.
You would call that. I mean, yes.
But
the nerd in you just came out. Yeah, again.
That's the formal title is the Church of Elders. It's the governing body. So
Sound like Mormons.
for years they were just kind of like, the field exists and there it is. Like, then we started taking off. Like, I took over the Instagram, just sort of blew it up, and we started getting more and more players.
Viable revenue stream.
So we started averaging. So we're a $10 entry fee with a $10 full rental package. We'll get 100 to 180 kids. We average, if it's 150, someone is mad at us. Like 150 is low for us. So we're getting about 170 to 180 kids in the middle of the month on a Sunday.
That's awesome.
So that's a lot of money to bring into the church to then funnel down to the community to help out
Yeah.
different community projects
killer,
here and there. Yeah. But the main body of the church didn't quite know what to make of it. It's very unique. It's new. It's innovative. So they're like,
I mean, people still don't get it when you hand a kid a toy gun.
Yeah,
and
they don't
you're
know.
like, go shoot each other.
yeah, welcome to
Wait,
church.
wait.
I literally tell my rental kids, I hand them around and go, welcome to church, here's a gun. Welcome to church, here's a gun. Welcome to church in California, here's a gun, little boy. They don't, but that's...
Go shoot that kid in the face.
That wouldn't
Part of what I
work
do.
down here in Southern California.
Yeah,
We'd
probably
have
not.
some libtard like
Yeah,
running around.
that could be a problem.
Giving us
But that's
an
how
issue.
that's how we roll. Placer County, you can get away with that. LA County might be a little different.
jeez.
Marin County, definitely not.
Yeah.
Placer County, go ahead.
Yeah.
So we kind of grew it bigger and bigger, and I was able. So out of like 100 and I think at the time I was briefing them on like 130 respondents. Well, about half of them were not religious at all. So I was able to take that data and go, hey, we created a Christian ministry, and easily over half of its attendees are not Christian.
So there's an opportunity there.
Yeah.
So that alone, they were like,
Yeah.
really? Like, yeah, what do you mean? Of course.
Churches
Like,
are always trying to like a sports ministry, a singles ministry.
all the
So now
standard ministries.
Yeah.
But the kind of the one thing, I don't want to say it's a failure, because the one thing that I think churches neglect is marketing. Churches they kind of rely on
Word of mouth.
mouth, or, hey, I just moved here from this area, I'm looking for this faith
Yeah.
of church. But they don't really outwardly market. They don't really have that piece. It could be for insert reason here, but we were basically, through the field, we were really marketing our church. So as a Christian ministry, we average well over half of our attendees not only are just not Christian, some of them aren't religious at all. And they now go to a Christian, they go in the backyard of a church every Sunday.
Yeah.
And they don't have a problem with it.
Yeah.
they understand we're a church. It's in the name.
Yeah.
They understand the money they go to goes to a Christian church. They're fine with that.
Yeah.
Because even if you're a parent and you're not religious, you understand that if your child wants to go to a church organization, at a base level understanding, you know it's going to be family friendly.
Yeah.
It's going to be safe. No one's going to be swearing or doing drugs or anything.
Except for the
whatever
field
these
bully.
crazy
Yeah.
kids are.
Safe environment.
A couple of them vape because they're speed softers, but whatever, that happens.
Is that a statistic? Speed softers
Yeah,
vape?
I mean, according to my anecdotal information, yes. And even out of those 100 people, 10 of them have actually, because of our field, 10 of them have actually gone into our service. So our marketing point basically is if you attend one of our services, you get in the field for free. No one cares it's $10. Like, I just would rather pay $10 and go to church.
Yeah.
Choice is
But
theirs.
out of 100-something people, 10 of them sat down in our church.
Yeah. That's huge.
And so I was able to take that data and go, hey, I know no one here is an airsoft, or no one here understands what we mean to the airsoft community. Here's the data of what we mean as a Christian ministry. Here's the impact that we have.
Yeah.
Butts in the seats.
Yeah. Or even not just the messages. Like, we do 2 prayers a day. We do a morning message in prayer and an afternoon message in prayer. I record those on my phone, post them to the Instagram, the Facebook, on an IG story if it's a long one. I even set up a Twitch account, and we just upload messages from there. So we have all these people. We've built this platform in which to spread, like, hey, Jesus is a cool guy, and he says you shouldn't be such a douchebag. Like,
Well, not
oh, that's a great. I shouldn't be such a douchebag. You're right, Airsoft Field. Thank you for
Here's
that.
the rifle. Go shoot someone in
not
the
to
face.
mention
Church was the original
Yeah.
TED Talk.
the platforms that you're using relate to the youth of today.
Yep.
And
And that
I'm
is
guessing the elders of the
huge for us.
church have no. If they do have any idea about social media or platforms, they don't know how to leverage it because
Or they don't understand necessarily the
Right.
animal, which is fine because I believe the average person on a church's governing body usually is retired.
Sure.
Because managing it. That's a big responsibility. You're a facility manager.
Yeah.
You manage a business.
Yeah.
A nonprofit business, nonetheless. So you have even less resources. So a lot of them are either retired or they're usually older like some of 60s. A lot of them like 60s. A lot of them are retired guys. You don't really see 20 to 30-year-old guys
Running it.
running a church. Like, you may have like we have a youth pastor who's
Yeah.
in his 20s, yeah, but he's not on the
And he's not
governing
65.
board. He's also not in his 60s.
Yeah.
I'm older than he is.
That would-
He's
that-
a youth pastor. He doesn't he has influence, but he's not making like facility level decisions.
Wouldn't that be a funny comedy skit? Like the youth minister is like,
Hilarious.
70, he's got a walker. Okay, guys, we're gonna.
We're gonna go do the
you see the
skateboarding
video?
thing
Rock
now.
climb.
We're gonna go hit.
Did you
yeah.
see the video where the pastor rides a dirt bike down the aisle? Yeah, there's some wild,
What?
guys are doing some wild stuff these days for church. I thought it was
We're gonna go
hilarious.
skydiving, guys. Look at my walker.
He does like I think he does like a wheelie on a dirt bike, like hilarious. He wipes out, but it was still fun. That's why it went viral. So fun. It was on Tosh.
So, oh, you know what? I think I did
Yeah.
see that. Yeah, actually, I did too.
So I was able to not only like use our analytics to show like what we mean as an airsoft field, and even if you can't conceptualize that, you can still understand what we mean as a Christian ministry.
Yeah.
Because even as a ministry, we're not advertising our church. That's not a thing.
I
It's
wonder-
our message.
I wonder if they have any analytics or any way to track the non-social. I mean, like the regular attendance to the church through the other ministries. How do you track it other than filling out surveys or?
We haven't really.
questionnaires?
They haven't really.
That's what I'm saying. They have no idea. This
So
is
especially
with the
now that
media-
I started studying. Now I'm like, dude, I nerd. So like the
so
biggest
they
thing for
could
me is-
transfer this over to other aspects of their ministries, social media, so they
I'm
can
an
actually.
analytics nerd.
Yeah.
You'll love this. So
So
I
they
did
can
a
track it.
2-page paper in my intro marketing class on the decline of pay-per-views. And I'm supposed to be doing a presentation I think on Wednesday, the decline of pay-per-view buys. So starting like with the top of the greatest pay-per-view event being like
Because the first thing I think of is sports, but
Boxing.
but not all pay.
So if you look at like the very first
there's
significant
concerts,
pay-per-view,
there's
they don't for buys.
it's,
nothing
it's
can
a,
hold-
It's a boxing and
Boxing
MMA.
and MMA. Pro wrestling is kind of in there, but they can't really hold a candle.
Yeah.
Like the greatest WWF pay-per-view I think was in the 90s, and it
Hogan or
barely
something,
broke
or-
it barely broke 1 million buys. But if like the decline and like here's the gold standard, which is Mayweather Pacquiao, 4.8 or 4.6 million buys. Gold standard or the silver standard, Mayweather McGregor.
Yeah.
And then we just go from there. Like Then we start looking at like subscription-based services like
Now,
DAZN.
I'm curious how this new ESPN deal, if that might change.
That's the other thing that I see. That's the piece that I nerd out on is the business. Like, oh, they've stopped doing this. That's interesting.
But here's what's funny is the first pay-per-view was a couple weeks ago, where
Lot of
ESPN
problems.
lots of problems. Right?
That's
But
gonna
I was
happen.
telling you the story the other day is like when we have technical problems, like, well, guess what? ESPN
That's
can't even get it right.
ESPN.
No, they should.
One of, if
Everybody
not
has
the
technical
biggest
problems.
name in sports.
Everybody has technical problems.
Yeah.
ESPN can't even get it right.
I love the
out of
ESPN deal. I love it.
Yeah, I love aspects of it. I don't love the fact that now I have to buy another app.
So
I have ESPN Plus.
Before we run into the technical problems of the lights turning off on us, because
they're gonna
that's
die.
usually going to die, and but we've hit almost that time of where the lights die.
That's what tells
on
us
it.
it's time to
Yeah. I do want to give you a chance to shout out where people can find more about you, see what you're doing, do a
The
lot of great
internet.
stuff.
Good night, everyone.
Yeah, YouTube. You have Caber rants, which we didn't even get into that. But I mean, this whole episode's been a rant, so there you go, guys. I gave you the extra long version of Caber rants on this episode.
Yeah, this is
of
just
the
a piece of
stream.
me.
You know, the camera
But it's
died
an
about 2
honesty.
hours
Yeah.
ago, by the way. I don't know if you knew
Yeah,
that.
it happens. I just still come down even for that.
So, but if they want to find you on Instagram for the fights, for the
ASM
your
_Caber,
stuff,
Caber, or the Airsoft. So in Roseville, my field is Airsoft Ministry, one word. Stockton has, they have a new Instagram now. I think it's CQB City _Stockton. UCA's UAKUS, which is in Galt. There is West Coast Adventure Park in, I think, that Slough House area. US Airsoft is up in Anderson, which I think MLA is going to be up there at some point soon. That's really it for the NorCal fields. And then I haven't been in the Bay Area ones. I want to go. They look neat.
So thank you, James, for coming down, joining us, spending your Friday night with us here.
Let's see if my pastor yells at me for this. Sorry, Mike.
But we definitely enjoyed the conversation with you guys. If you guys enjoyed the conversation, please feel free to like, comment, subscribe. Tell us what you guys want to hear us talk about on these shows.
Or kiss our
Here.
ass.
Yeah, one of those. But
Sorry, Mike.
anyways, guys, this has been episode 6 of Tac City Unfiltered. Thank you guys for joining us. We'll see you guys on the next
Go to the
one.
bar.